Hello, gamers. You're listening to the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. This is episode number 153.
Hold up. Oh my God. Seriously, JD, you had one job. One job. It's episode 152. My God. I can't wait to see how the rest of this show plays out. All right, here we go.
And welcome back to another episode of the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. I'm Frankie Ayler. Joining me tonight, just Bender Holtz. That's it. Bender, what's up?
Not much. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. It's weird. I think we've been doing Short Pause for a while. It's the first time you and I have ever got to just host the show ourselves. Ben and Brent foolishly okayed this, so sorry guys. But we figured, why not? It's just the two of us, but why not bring in, someone else for fun? So, of course, you heard there, introducing the show is our good friend from the Play and Listen Gaming Podcast, JD. What's up, man?
Oh, hey guys, how's it going? What are you doing here?
Weird, right?
I just went onto Skype. I didn't know we were doing the show today.
Yeah, I thought you were in the middle of recording your show, and then we invaded your call.
And then the abominable snowman attacked me and all that, and good stuff.
Yeah, that sucks. We got some of that storm here in Ohio, but it wasn't as bad as what you got.
Yeah, we got a little less than 3 feet. A little less. I think it was 28 inches when I measured it on my deck. It rained 2 hours before the snow started, so that froze. The snow stuck to the branches. Then we got 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts, which knocked down all trees all over, all the wires. Telephone poles snapped in half. The electric company told us Wednesday at the earliest, and we're recording this Saturday night, so yeah, not good. And it's a state of emergency just in our town. That's how bad. It just focused right on us, of course. So we're at the I'm at the other old top secret Play and Listen headquarters, so we're good for now.
That sucks. I'm sorry, man. Yeah, we were supposed to get it really bad here, but it snowed really bad for a couple hours, and we maybe got, I don't know, maybe 3 to 5 inches, maybe. But it had rained all day. It was funny because it was 50 out, and I went to work, didn't grab, my hat, gloves. I don't pay attention to the weather enough. They're never right anyways, so yeah, what's the point?
That's true.
So, Jen actually had called me when she got out of work, and when I went to answer the phone, I saw a little weird icon, so I was like, oh, what's this? So, of course, National Weather Service, winter storm warning, and I was like, oh, sweet, okay, cool. So, I keep an extra hat and gloves in my book bag, usually.
Smart man.
So, it's not as heavy as the one I usually wear, but had that at least. But yeah, it sucked, getting out of work and pushing all that snow off the car, and like I said, it was 50 and raining all day. So I think 6 or 7 o'clock at night, it just got cold, started snowing, everything started to freeze, so not fun.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
Bender, you play anything interesting this week?
Well, Frankie, actually right before we started recording this evening, I downloaded the Kirby Star Allies demo from the Nintendo eShop. Now, just a quick PSA, it's only available in the European eShop. So you do have to make sure you've created a European, a European account on My Nintendo. For whatever reason, they haven't released on the North American eShop. But I did play that demo. There's 2 levels, and it seems like a pretty cool game. I mean, you play as Kirby. You've the ability to befriend certain enemies, and they'll follow you along, or you can play it with friends online. I assume as well, but if you don't have a friend online to play with you, you can, have AI companions, and they'll join you, and you can combine powers, and there's different cool things. Like if you have the sword Kirby, then you can befriend a fire guy, and he'll give you a flame sword, and you just slash at people with a flame sword. It's pretty cool. But it seemed really interesting. I'm looking forward to that game coming out so we can play it. I think you'll really like it. I think it'll be a lot of fun to go through their co-op. So yeah, looking forward to that. But other than that, I've been still playing a lot of Monster Hunter with you guys, you and Jamie, and big surprise. So yeah, that's still fun. We did the Horizon Zero Dawn quest and got the Aloy armor and the Aloy bow, which is cool. And I'll be rolling with that for a while because it's higher defense than anything else I had currently. So it's a pretty good set of armor. But I think that's about it. Other than that, that's really all I've been playing lately.
I think you mentioned last week you were going to be reviewing Bridge Constructor Portal. Have you played that at all?
Not as much as I wanted to. I've played some of it, but not as much as I wanted to. I've just been really busy, so definitely need to get back to that and finish it up and everything. But yeah, it seemed cool from what I did play of it, though.
Bender, I got a question for you. Did you say you could get that Kirby demo just by going to the EU store with an account?
Yes, yeah. So
Brent told me I needed an EU passport and that he could get me one to send him $250. So I did, and I still haven't gotten it yet. So, should I be concerned?
No, it's
okay.
normal.
All right, just checking.
It's in the mail.
He'll take
It's in
care
the
of it.
mail.
Don't worry.
Okay.
We're totally not going to be splitting that money.
Oh, he probably sent it to the wrong. He probably sent it to my old address. My old address. I mean, right?
Okay.
Right.
Maybe.
That's probably what happened.
Yeah,
right?
probably. That's probably.
Or it got lost in the
yeah.
snowstorm. Never mind. I'm not worried anymore.
Yeah. For all you know, it's there right now. You don't know. What about you, JD? You get a chance to play anything this week?
So yeah, before we got slammed with that storm, I was playing Shadow of the Colossus, the new version, of course. Game is such a masterpiece. It's like Zen in a box. You just so chill, and then these, it's incredible the detail on these colossi. I mean, like you can see like the pores where their fur comes out, and then like one of the colossi. I got to get used to saying that. I wanted to say colossuses. You're fighting. He's kind of like half submerged underwater, and like typically when you climb on the back of these things, the fur, you can kind of stab them anywhere and it will, like, I don't even know if it takes their health down, but it will kind of stun them. But, normally you find the spot on their back or their neck or their head and you stab them. This one, you get on it and it looks like fur, but it's really like grass, and you stab it and it does nothing, and you got to figure out how to get to this weak spot. But it just, incredibly beautiful game. I really enjoy it. And, I've been, like always, playing multiple games at once. I'm pretty far into Dark Souls 3. I'm at like the last stretch. I got to do that, finish that off. I kind of burnt out because I was playing that like every single day for like 2 weeks. And then I picked up Slain Back from Hell on the Switch, which is awesome. It's heavy metal. It's amazing because, most indie games, like, regardless of how fun they are, these like cute little characters, like little like cute pink hair and running around doing stuff. And this game's just like, nope, you're a Viking-looking dude with long hair, wicked like crazy sword, just slaughter everything with heavy metal playing. I'm like, that's my kind of indie game. So I saw it on sale on the Switch and grabbed it, and it's really hard. It's good.
Nice. I have a physical copy for the PS4 that I think Signature Edition Games did it, but it has like the game, the soundtrack, all that stuff. But it's a European copy, so it has like the little Peggy thing. It's starting to drive me nuts as the games with the Peggy logos. So I don't know, minor complaint. But I do have the soundtrack. I gotta, I'll have to rip that and get that over.
It's very, very thrashy kind of metal, like not very modern. It's cool.
That's what I've heard. That's one I want to play at some point too. I think Ben fired that up on. I want to say he fired up on the Indie Spotlight. Could be wrong, but I know that was one that he was eyeing when that came out. So
I don't remember if he played that one. I know he was asking me about it, but I'm trying to remember. Maybe it was on the IS I missed, but yeah, it's definitely it's a Piccolo game, if just for the fact that it's going to be brutal and he's going to die a bunch of times. But it's one of those games where you die and you just go pretty much right back to where you were, the last checkpoint. So. And it's pretty forgiving as far as checkpoints go. So it's fun. I recommend it. Great fit for the Switch.
Cool. Awesome. As far as I go, just like Bender mentioned, more Monster Hunter. Actually, we've been trying to get past Nergigante. He's one of the Elder Dragons. Actually, I think he's like the main one that they're featuring. He's the statue with the collector's edition. So, but he's very, very challenging. So we've been trying to get past him as a group for probably 2 weeks now, and we just haven't had any luck. So I figured I would try soloing it one night just to see how far I could get. And because as a team, you have 3 deaths to work with, and Jamie is really good at dying. I mean, if we all had to be really good at something, like Jamie's thing is dying. So, but even doing it myself, I managed to get him to, one of the times we took him on before, we had him, near death. He went to like his little lair area that he goes to rest, and he gets really aggressive at that point, and I think that's where we fumbled and ended up losing. So that was actually, I didn't die until I got to that point, and I died twice because he gets real aggressive, flying up in the air, dive bombing you. It does a lot of damage. So I had died twice, and I was pretty sure I wasn't going to beat him, because I honestly didn't think I was going to. I just figured I'd try and see how far I could get, but I did end up, with the longsword. Of course, after playing the game for like 100 hours, I finally learned how to actually use some of the other attacks that I had no idea. Because if you use R2 and you'll do like this cool combo attack, at the end of it, if the last hit connects, even if that's the only hit that connects, it has to be that one hit. Like the your sword bar, the meter that fills to do that attack will it'll highlight itself. So, and then if you do a couple other smaller attacks, it'll fill up a little bit. And when it does that, you have 2 other attack options. So if you hit R2 and circle, you'll kind of like lean back and he'll do a powerful like kind of uppercut hit with your sword. And if you hit R2 and triangle, you'll kind of lunge forward. And if you hit triangle again when you hit him, you'll jump up in the air and come down and do this really cool like slash attack that does a lot of damage when you land it. So I finally, because I was watching one of the videos and saw them show off that move, I was like, how the hell do you do that? So finally learned how to do that. So that's been really fun trying to do that as often as possible. So, but I landed that on him, and that was enough to finally kill him. And I was just sitting there like, oh my god, I finally did it. So, but outside of that, we've just kind of been, like Bender mentioned, we did the Anjanath for the Aloy stuff. I still need a couple more trophies for that to max out the bow, because the bow can be upgraded, thankfully. So, but yeah, outside of that, we just did a couple of the weekly challenge things. There's like an event every week that seems like you're fighting 4 to 5 monsters in a certain area, and those are highly likely to drop crowns, so tiny crowns or gold big crowns. So Jamie and I ran through there once, and actually we were able to finish it, which I was surprised. I didn't think it was going to happen. But I screwed up because I thought we were looking for the dog. Is that the Slim Jim dog? But really it was the pink Rathian that we were supposed to be hunting, which of course it is. I hate that thing. So we ended up fighting that thing, and we killed it with like 2 or 3 minutes to spare. So that was pretty cool. Didn't get any tiny crowns that time, unfortunately. Just a couple silvers, which you need golds for the trophy, which kind of sucks. Yeah. But it's still cool though. It was really fun getting in there and getting that done. So yeah, still playing a lot of Monster Hunter though. Don't plan on stopping anytime soon, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending how you want to look at it. So maybe we'll fire up some more streams throughout the week. Who knows? Hard to say. But outside of that, I also played through a game called Past Cure, which I think I mentioned last time I was on the show. It was on our spotlight list. I was actually kind of surprised. I was expecting it to be much more horror themed, horror focused, and it's not. I know this game got slammed. It's sitting at like a 37, 36 on Metacritic right now. I don't know why. I don't think the game's nearly that bad.
You guys are like me, man. You find the good in a game more often than the bad. Sometimes I don't get how certain games get ripped up the way they do. So I think I'm with you guys on that, and at least somewhat. Certain games it's obvious, like wow, this is garbage, but I guess it's to each his own.
I really don't. I don't understand what people are so upset about. I mean, it's like I said, it's nothing special, but it's an indie game. They're a budget studio, so it's actually their first game. A lot of them are first time developers. It's a team of 8 people.
Is that what you posted in the Discord? They're a little yeah. That's a shame, man. That's a shame.
Yeah, I feel for them. That sucks. Like your very first project, and that score sucks, but.
Yeah, I don't know. I get pissed when I see like people ripping on smaller developers or indie devs or first time game developers. Like, like how are we ever going to get new games or new ideas if they don't take risks or be ambitious? It's how many AAA games come out in less than ideal states and they review well and people give them a pass. If anything, it should be the other way around.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I'm not saying you shouldn't point out to them the flaws. I think that's actually in this modern era where games are worked on to the last second. I think that's part of it, like giving them feedback. I think that's crucial. But the really nasty, like entitled remarks really get under my skin. But that's just me.
No, I agree. That's fair. And like I said too, like it's the first time team. A lot of them, that's their first time even dabbling in the video game industry, and I think that sucks. Like that's their first, the taste in their mouth after their first game. So I hope that doesn't scare them off. I hope they continue to make games. Because like I said, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the game. It's fine. It just a lot of it was really kind of generic, unfortunately.
Yeah, I gotta check it out. But like aesthetically, is it like unique or special? Like, is it just kind of?
Not really. It's a lot of the levels play out the same, and the one problem I had with it is there's one of the levels you go through, you're kind of going through this parking garage, and it just feels like it goes on too long.
Sure.
So, and there's also some forced stealth sections, which I'm usually really bad at stealth, so I failed those a couple times, but I didn't feel like they're overly difficult. Like, as I was doing them, I kind of could see, okay, well, if I go over here, this guy will be over here, so like I didn't feel like it was something that was impossible for me to figure out, so
Gotcha.
There's that. The only thing that also made me sad too was that there's no platinum trophy, because it got a retail release, which I did pick up even though we got a review code, but no platinum trophy for $30. It's like, yeah. Oh well. All right, guys, let's get into the new releases. So we're gonna start off with the things that we missed last week. There's a lot of stuff on here. I'm kind of surprised, but I guess I shouldn't be. I don't know. But so a lot of these are going to be on the Switch. First one being Air Hockey, which I'm pretty sure is self-explanatory. Outlast: The Bundle of Terror came out on the Switch last week. That's the first Outlast game with the Whistleblower DLC. So if you've yet to play Outlast, you could check that on the Switch now. I think 2 is coming out later this month, so it's cool those games are finally coming over. Gridmania is a match 3 puzzle game on the Switch. A Whole New World is a retro-style platformer, also for the Switch. Arcade Archives Star Force is a side-scrolling Jamestown Plus style shooter, and Arcade Archives Neo Geo Sengoku 2 is a side-scrolling action game. Both of those also available on the Switch now. On the topic of Arcade Archives Neo Geo games, the PlayStation 4 got Metal Slug 3 and King of Fighters 98 last week, which I'm pretty sure those are on Xbox and Switch already. And Xbox One owners got Neo Geo Shock Troopers Second Squad. So if you're a Neo Geo fan, check those games out. The demo for Gravel, that's that new MotorStorm-esque racer that I think came out last week, but the demo is now available for the PS4 and Xbox One. I gotta check that one out. I'm very interested in that game. GT Sport got its 1.13 update. They added 12 new cars, 2 new tracks, and 3 new GT League events. Everybody's Golf, Ben, I don't know if you saw this one, but Everybody's Golf has a Final Fantasy crossover pack available now. It lets you ride a chocobo around the golf course for $4.99.
I actually didn't see that until I was looking over the outline. That sounds awesome. So I'm definitely gonna have to boot that game up and pick up that DLC.
Yeah. So
Wouldn't it be cool
do,
if chocobos were real? I always think that. Like that's something from video games
awesome.
that I really do wish were real. Can't talk. Wish were real. So
yeah,
this would be cool. Well, if you do fire it up, there's also a special tournament running right now until the 12th, so you'll be able to earn Final Fantasy themed golf attire and items. So get in there and try out that event. Elder Scrolls Online got its Dragon Bones DLC that adds 2 new dungeons, new items, new monsters, and so forth. So if you're still playing ESO, check that out now. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 got a random free update this past week. They added all kinds of new customization items, abilities, environments, and new game modes. The update rolled out across all 3 versions of the game, so if you're playing on Xbox, PS4, or the Switch, this update should be available to you now. And lastly, Super Lucky's Tale got its Gilly Island DLC on the Xbox One. This picks up after the events of the main game and is set on a tropical vacation island. Looks pretty fun. It's only $4.99, so if you have Super Lucky's Tale, you can look forward to playing that. All right. Up next, the PlayStation Plus March lineup has been revealed. This month is pretty crazy. PlayStation 4 gamers can look forward to Bloodborne and Ratchet and Clank. Hell yeah. PS3 owners will be getting Legend of K Anniversary and Mighty Number 9, which Mighty Number 9 is cross-buy with PS4. Vita owners, you'll get Claire Extended Edition and Bombing Busters. Both of those games also cross-buy with PS4, so PlayStation 4 owners will be getting 5 games this month. Quick around the horn on what you guys think about this. Bender, what's this lineup sound to you?
It's a pretty good lineup, man. I got a couple of great AAA games, Bloodborne and Ratchet and Clank. I mean, Ratchet and Clank is fantastic. I really love that game. It's one of my favorite games on the PS4. And then, I mean, the other games I'll have to look into and see what they're all about. I know Mighty Number 9 didn't really resonate with a lot of people, but I do want to try it out. I never bought it, but if I can get it for free, I'll download it and check it out and see if I like it. But yeah, definitely it's worth it for Bloodborne and Ratchet and Clank this month. Those are really good choices.
Yeah, I was surprised seeing both of those on there for 1 month. That's crazy. But JD, what do you think about this lineup?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with Bender. Just Bloodborne and Ratchet and Clank alone, that's some heavy hitting games right there. I didn't get to play Ratchet and Clank yet, so I'm excited for that. And then the other ones, I played through Mighty Number 9. I mean, I thought the game was pretty good. It's nothing special. It certainly didn't live up to the whole spiritual successor of Mega Man title people were expecting. So I get that, but it's an alright game, especially for free. So I'm definitely down for this list. This is a good one.
Have you played Bloodborne?
Yeah, I have it. I'm probably about halfway through it. That's another one I got to go back to for sure.
Yeah, that's one I've always wanted to go back to. I have this obsession with wanting to beat these damn Souls games. So one of these days I want to go back and finish Bloodborne. So I mean, I still have the game, so at least I'll have a digital version now. But whatever, it's cool. All right, so on to the spotlight releases for this week. Really busy week. It was actually hard to narrow down a couple to talk about, but I want to start off with Scribblenauts Showdown. So this seems like a departure from your typical Scribblenauts games. This is kind of like a party game, so you'll be competing against your friends using Max's notepad to bring almost anything you could think of in to solve puzzles. I assume to beat your friends. So. Bender, I know we mentioned this before when this kind of surfaced, like we didn't really know anything about it, it just sort of showed up one day. But where are you at on this one?
I'm intrigued by it. I personally liked the way the Scribblenauts games were, as far as being like puzzle games and everything. This seems like it's going to be more competitive focus, not so much puzzly, where you're trying to complete an objective faster than your opponent or something like that. So we'll have to wait and see what it's really like. But I'm definitely interested in checking it out. I just don't know if I'll like it as much as the other Scribblenauts games. Yeah,
that's sort of where I'm at too, because playing on the 3DS makes sense. That you have the keypad right there, you have the dual screens to work with. That worked out well. I'm not sure how it's going to be as a single screen experience. So I'm a little hesitant to pick it up, but I'm very curious about it. JD, I know you have a 3DS. Have you ever dabbled with any of the Scribblenauts games?
I have not. I actually, I didn't even. They don't ring a bell actually, even. So this is all new to me.
Really?
Wow.
Well, this is the thing.
Like
the 2DS, I have the 2DS XL, 3DS, same thing basically. I got after I got my Switch. I hadn't had a handheld since the Game Boy Advance years ago, so I was totally out of the loop with that. So if it was is it exclusively like a handheld game? I mean, on here it looks like PS4, Xbox One, Switch. So
yeah. This is the first time it's coming to Xbox and PlayStation. As far as I know, this has always been on the DS, the 3DS. There was a couple on the Wii U.
Yeah, that's probably why I'm not too familiar with it. Because, like I said, I'm a recent adopter of the handhelds. Especially if you don't count the Switch. If you just count the 2DS, we're talking like August 2017. So
gotcha.
for Samus Returns, I had to get it.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's what prompted me to get one too.
And then I also wanted to catch up on my handheld Zelda games because that's a big empty spot in my Zelda fandom that needs to be corrected.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you do have a chance to like find Scribblenauts like used somewhere or something like that, if it's a good price, I mean, if it's not too expensive, I'd recommend picking it up. If you like puzzle games, it's a really cool one. It's just like you can think of almost anything and type it in, it'll appear, and you can use it to solve the puzzle.
That's cool.
So there's like dozens of different ways to solve each puzzle, and it's got a cool like cartoony art.
So what do you use,
style
like
and
the
everything,
stylus
so.
for it, like to write words or something?
Mhm,
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you have this notepad and you open it up and it'll just have a keyboard and you just type in a word and then you hit enter and it'll appear most of the time. Sometimes it doesn't recognize it or whatever, but most of the time it'll appear whatever you typed in. You can use it, like you can type in jetpack and the jetpack will appear and you can put it on and go flying somewhere.
That's cool.
So yeah, it's a pretty cool and interesting puzzle game.
Excellent. Yeah, I might check that out. That sounds like a game that I'd have fun playing with my nephew or my niece. You know, it sounds like it'd be fun regardless, but, you know, sometimes with those kind of games, you get them and you just play them here and there, but I would actually sit down and have fun with the little ones with that. So that actually, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, the ones on the 3DS, there's Unlimited. That's just a regular Scribblenauts game. It's really good, but there's also a DC-themed one if you're into comic books called Unmasked. That one's really cool. So you have options.
My brother-in-law, Brian, you know Brian, he would definitely dig the DC one. I think he's a pretty big comic nerd, so.
Nice.
Cool.
Excelente.
Awesome. Cool. So you can look for that one on Tuesday on Switch, Xbox One, and PS4. Up next, Bravo Team. This is the next VR title from Supermassive Games. Of course, the guys responsible for Until Dawn, and I think they handled The Impatient. So this one's a cover-based first-person shooter that supports the aim controller. I know Brent and Ben are really, really jazzed about this one, so I'd keep an eye on our YouTube channel this week. That's Short Pause Gaming on YouTube. I've no doubt those guys are going to want to fire that thing up and try out the two-player co-op. I don't know where you guys are with Bravo Team. I'm not sure where I'm at just yet, but Bender, any interest in Bravo Team?
So a little bit maybe. I think I might. I know Felsing is really interested in this one. I think I might see what his thoughts are before I really decide if it's something I would want to jump into. But yeah, it seems like it could be something that could be cool.
Yeah, I know JD, you have a problem with VR, but I know you like your competitive multiplayer games. Bravo Team sound like appealing title to you?
I mean, both of those statements were very accurate. So I still haven't picked up PSVR. I just, every time I try one out, any kind of VR headset, I get like that sick feeling almost immediately. It could just be mental at this point. Maybe if I picked one up, I might just get over it. But for that reason alone, I probably won't play it anytime soon. But you never know. We'll see. Maybe if I come across a PSVR cheap or someone gets me as a gift or something, then I'll force myself to deal with it. So we'll see.
Cool.
Sounds cool though.
Yeah, it seems like something right up your alley if you were to go down that road, so. Awesome. Lastly, Bender, Life is Strange Before the Storm is getting its farewell bonus chapter on Monday. This episode brings back the original voice actors game for one last episode, featuring the dynamic duo for the first game. I believe this one's set before Max leaves, so this is kind of, the tail end of their friendship, as it were. But I know you played through the first 3 episodes already, so it's essentially pretty sure the Before the Storm story arc, so this one's kind of like a separate thing, but I assume you're looking forward to seeing what this has to offer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Before the Storm was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. And, I'll be excited to see, Ashley Birch and the other girl, I forgot her name.
I can't remember it either.
Yeah, I'll be happy to... I'll be excited to see them reprise their roles as Chloe and Max. They did so good on the original Life is Strange. So, I'm looking forward to checking it out and seeing what it'll be, and it'll probably bring the feels. It's called Farewell, so I imagine it's going to be some emotional moments.
Yeah, definitely. JD, did you ever play Life is Strange?
Yeah, I have. I think it might have been at Games with Gold. They did, I don't know. Is this episodic?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I got like the first episode for free. It didn't really do it for me. So, I mean, again, I always end up buying games later on. So, like, I'm sure I'll come across a sale or something, and I know people really love it, and I'll probably end up picking up picking this up at some point. So, but I'm definitely excited to hear what you guys think about it. I know you guys really enjoy it, so I'll be tuning in for some updates about it.
Yeah, once I finally sit down and play through it, I think it's a safe assumption Bender and I are going to get together and record a spoiler cast. So it's definitely something I'm looking forward to. So probably going to try and hop into that this week if I can find the time. I know Jen wants to play it too, but our work schedules conflict again, so I might have to just sit down and play through this one myself and go back with her at some point, which is fine. So I'm going to try to do that this week. But let's blow through the rest of these new releases, guys. I know we have some other stuff we want to talk about. We're going to start off on Tuesday with Fear Effects Sedna. I think it's Sedna. But this is an indie-developed entry in Square Enix's Fear Effects series, which I'm not too familiar with at all. But this one's like a top-down stealth action game where you have like a team group that you'll take on some supernatural enemies, and you'll use the element of stealth to stave off a building fear meter, which makes them more susceptible to damage, but also boosts their damage output if the meter fills up. So the sneakier you are, the lower that gauge will stay. Have either of you ever played a Fear Effect game?
I have not. I played Fear on PC, that paranormal game.
I've played Mass Effect.
Yeah, me
Right,
too.
well,
So
okay, we're halfway there.
somewhere in between there is Fear
Yeah.
Effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played some of those too, I think. So yeah, I don't know, but it has a really cool art style. It's kind of got like a comic book type of aesthetic to it. So looks cool. I know this one's on Boyce's radar for the Indie Spotlight that you can catch on our YouTube channel on Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm not sure if this will be the one that he settles on, but I know it's the one that he's definitely got an eye on. So keep an eye out for that stream on Tuesday when that game launches on the Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. North is a cyberpunk-style walking simulator where your main character is seeking asylum in a foreign land. This one will be coming to the Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and Vita. TT Isle of Man, Ride on the Edge is a motorbike racing game. I want to say motorcycle, but I don't think these are motorcycles, but could be wrong. Rangy? I don't know how to say this one.
I'd say Rangi or Ranji. That's what I would go with.
Ranji?
Not saying that's right.
This is a first-person puzzle game with puzzles based on African folklore. That's for PlayStation VR. So it looks pretty cool, actually. Bender, have you seen the trailer for this one?
No, I have not.
This looks like something you might like.
I'll have to check it out then.
Life is Strange Before the Storm will be getting its retail release on PS4 and Xbox One on Tuesday. I think there's a limited edition available as well. That probably has an art book soundtrack, typical fanfare for that game. Final Fantasy 15 will get its Royal Edition on Tuesday as well. That'll come to retail. That bundles the game with all of its available DLC and updates. The Iron Banner is going to return to Destiny 2 on Tuesday, with Clash being the featured mode. The other changes to the Crucible coming to Destiny 2 this week will bring back the 6-on-6 fire teams and seemingly the old-style rules for control. So all the zones will be neutral, capture faster with more Guardians, 12-minute time limit, all that stuff.
It's called It's called Strongholds.
Yeah, sure, whatever. So yeah, Bender, you gonna hop into Iron Banner this week?
I might. I haven't the last couple of events when they've had it open, so I might jump in this time and see how it is, especially if they're going back to like the old style of control. Even if control's not the mode for Iron Banners, I mean, I've been interested in going back to that old style of control mode.
Yeah, me too. I loved Control in Destiny 1. Iron Banner, like I would love to hop in, and I don't care how bad we did. It was still so much fun, so I'm looking forward to them going back to that too. Project Cars 2 is going to be getting its Porsche Legends pack on Tuesday. It celebrates the 70th anniversary of Porsche. That'll be adding 9 classic Porsches to the game's roster. That'll be available on Xbox and PlayStation. Midnight Deluxe is that Meat Boy-esque puzzle platformer. I think it launched on Xbox a couple weeks ago. That'll be on PS4 and Vita on Tuesday. DJ Max Respect is the hardcore rhythm game you guys talked about last week. That'll bring the series to the PS4. I've also never heard of this, so you're not alone. Frantics is the latest in PlayStation Playlink's series. Way of the Passive Fist is a really cool name for a kind of bland-looking 2D beat-em-up. Kind of bummed that I mentioned this one to Ben too, and he was saying he also wasn't really blown away by the trailer. which I then watched him. But that'll be available on PS4 on Tuesday, and will be available on Xbox One on Wednesday, alongside 9 Parchments. That'll finally be arriving on Xbox One this Wednesday. So this is that really cool 4-player co-op wizard. It's a dungeon crawler. Would you?
Kind of. I mean, you're not really going through dungeons, but it's definitely a co-op 4-player, like beat 'em up kind of.
Gotcha.
Kind of game, sort of.
Cool. But I know you guys all got together, you streamed some of it, so if you guys want to see this game in action, head over to our YouTube channel, check out that stream. Brent, Ben, and Bender all hopped in there and cast some spells, got pretty chaotic, so the game looks like a really good time, so definitely check that one out. On a Thursday, this is of course the big Switch release day, so all the following will be arriving on the eShop. Bleed 2, finally coming to the Switch. That's awesome. Ben featured this game on the Indie Spotlight a couple weeks ago when it launched on the PS4. And that game just looks awesome. So that'll be available on the Switch this week.
Sweet soundtrack on that game. Very sweet soundtrack.
Really great soundtrack. So awesome. World Conqueror X is a World War II strategy game. The Trail Frontier Challenge is an exploration game where it looks like you collect things to make items for your cabin. The Men of Yoshiwara Ogiya is a dating sim. Stared in Binary Stars is a cool-looking side-scrolling space shooter.
Time out a second, man.
Yeah.
The Men of Yoshiwara, I'm thinking like, ooh, is this like maybe like an Onimusha type game? Like maybe a 2D Onimusha game? Nope, it's a dating sim.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty then. Sign me up.
Do it. Stream it. Friday.
Done deal.
Yes. Do it. Awesome.
I should actually do that. That would be hilarious.
It would be really play that other stupid game you always play. Midnight Deluxe. This is the one we mentioned earlier on PS4 and Vita. That'll be coming to the Switch on Thursday. iZombie is a puzzle strategy game where you're commanding a zombie army trying to infect the whole world. Earth RPGs of yesteryear. That's been out on Xbox and PlayStation. I think it came out last year, but I know the developers were with it, so I know they're re-releasing it, and I'm assuming the Switch release is going to kind of kick off of it. So if you own it on PS4, grab that on Games with Gold. Keep an eye out for that one to show up in downloads. But JD, I assume you messed around with this on Xbox when it was free.
Yeah, if it's the same one, I'm thinking, man. And like I was saying before, I'm normally one of those people who finds the good in a game, and this one just, I could not get into it at all.
That's a bummer. I know some people really liked it, but yeah, I know others had a lot of problems with it.
I don't think I had any technical issues. It just was like, I don't know, just felt like really slow and really like tedious. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like gameplay. I don't know. I know they took a lot of that feedback though, and they're kind of made it like, I forget what goofy name they put on the re-release. They're doing like the should have been edition or something like that. So
hey, I'm sure they worked hard on it, and I'm sure like I'm not. Is like I was saying before, I'm sure they worked hard, and I'm not like I've never said anything bad about this game before, and I would never trash them for it. You know, they gave it away for free on Xbox. That's more than a lot of other developers do. So I still support them.
Cool. Yeah. I don't know. I never got around to playing it, so I'm kind of curious to see what this new iteration is, but oh well. Up next, Spy Chameleon. This is that stealth puzzle game that's been on Xbox and PS4 that'll arrive on Switch on Friday. One-Eyed Kutk. This is a space adventure game based on the fairy tales of the far north. It's an interesting looking art style to it as well. That'll be out on the PS4, Switch, Xbox, and Vita. Turtle Pop Journey to Freedom is a cute looking platformer. And lastly, the Darwin Project will hit Xbox Game Preview on Friday. This one was announced at E3 last year, I think it was. And it's like the latest contender in the Battle Royale genre. My interest actually kind of rose in this one. I found out that a developer named Simon Devro, he was one of the co-founders of Tiny Brains and Stories Path of Destiny's developer Spearhead Games. I met him at PAX East. He's a really cool guy. I think he worked on the combat for Assassin's Creed 3, so his background was kind of there, and then he wanted to go and do indie stuff. But knowing that he's one of the main people working on this game, I'm like really curious about it now because I really like that guy. So debating if I want to hop in there or not. But I know we were talking about the whole Battle Royale thing before the show. JD, does this one sound interesting to you at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I got really hooked on PUBG for a while. I still hop in there, but after I got the couple wins I wanted, it kind of waned on me a little bit. But still, I am definitely interested in this one, and I think I'll check it out.
Awesome. Yeah, if you end up picking it up, let me know. I'll hop in there with you at some point.
Sounds good.
That'll be fun. All right, guys, that's going to do it for the new releases. So let's hop into some PlayStation stories. First up, I don't know if I alluded to this earlier or not, but when PlayStation announced the PlayStation Plus games for this month, there was also a service update announcement in that post, where they announced that as of March 9th, 2019, they'll be dropping PlayStation 3 and Vita games from the PlayStation Plus lineup. So, of course, all the games you already have, they're not going away. They're not taking any, games from your library or anything. But going forward, they're going to be focusing on the PlayStation 4 because that is where, their audience is now, apparently. I assume they have all the numbers to look at this and, go based on that. But, Bender, what do you think about this? I know, the PS3 has kind of gotten some, I don't want to say, mediocre or just kind of crappy titles for the past couple months, but there was a point in time where even with the PlayStation 4 out, like the PS3 was getting, like Mass Effect and Dishonored and a lot of really cool games, but that's kind of subsided over the years lately. How do you feel about this?
I mean, it's disappointing to get fewer games with PS Plus every month, and hopefully they'll figure out a way to supplement those, the lack of those over time. But it's something that I feel like was bound to happen eventually. I mean, the PS3 and the Vita are both, kind of bygone era consoles that they don't really make mini games for anymore. So it's something that was just bound to happen. It was kind of inevitable. I kind of hope this leads to them maybe dropping in some PSVR games every once in a while in the PS Plus lineup. I think that'd be really cool. Maybe that would kind of make up for it a little bit. But other than that, it is what it is. I guess we'll have to just get used to it. But hopefully they'll be able to have some cool games to make up for it for the PS4 and maybe PSVR.
Do you think it's possible that they'll maybe kind of look at doing maybe just doing a couple more PS4 games a month and then maybe a VR game here and there? Like, do you think that would be acceptable?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be fine with me. I mean, yeah, it's, we'd still be getting the same number of games, but just all on one platform would be fine with me. So yeah, if they do that, that'd be okay.
Nice. JD, I know you kind of just got a PS4 fairly recently. Did you ever subscribe to Plus or not yet?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I did from day one. I still play it all the time. I let all my subscriptions run out before we moved. And then at that time actually was when I got really hooked on PUBG. So I was like, all right, between this and Halo, I got to keep at least my gold. So I bought a year of gold, and then everything else, I let run out. I got rid of my one loot crate. Let my PS Plus run out, but I actually need to get it going again. So, but yeah, no, I've gotten, and I still play my PS3 too. So, I definitely enjoyed all the PS Plus games and stuff that I could get, and I kind of agree. I think maybe depending on what the feedback is, if people make enough noise about it, I could see them adding an extra PS4 or a game or two. So.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think coming into 2019, a lot of people have probably, by then are going to have let their PS3 go, or, like you've either played all the games you want to, they've been remastered, what have you. But I mean, there's been some really great games in there. I know I got Yakuza 4, I think, was in there at one point. I know 5 was in there, but I picked up 5 when it came out, so I already had that. But yeah, there's been some really great games that have gone in there over the years, so I think, I think for the time that it mattered, I think they put out a lot of really great games for the PS3 with Plus. So hearing that they're going to be sunsetting it next year, I'm personally fine with it. I think too with the Vita, I don't feel like the Vita's library is necessarily big enough to keep sustaining giving away a lot of the games, and a lot of them are niche titles. A lot of those like visual novels, like stuff like that. Like gamers don't. I don't think the vast majority of gamers appreciate those games, so they probably don't get downloaded that much, unfortunately, which is a shame because I enjoy those. I think they're really great, but yeah, I think 2019 is a fair time for them to kind of start sunsetting those older platforms and focusing on going forward. And so I mean, the other question I guess I have for you guys is we're looking at 2019 with this happening. Do you guys think that we're maybe on the verge of getting an announcement of a next-gen system, and maybe that's why we're dropping these, so that, say, the PlayStation 5 is going to be coming out in the next year or two? Like, do you think that's maybe an anticipation for that? Bender?
I think that's definitely a possibility. I could see that happening within the next year or two. I mean, maybe not this year, but I could see them announcing something, or at least giving a hint of something next year, like E3 2019, maybe. So I'm not sure when it would happen, but that's bound to happen before too long. So the PS3 has had a good long run for a while, and I could definitely see them moving on to the next thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that seems like to make the most sense to me. You know, if you're going to be phasing out one, it's probably because you're getting ready to bring in the next. And I mean, the PlayStation 3 has been out for, you know, more than 10 years at that point, so it's a lot of old games. But what do you think about that, JD? You ready for next gen?
Oh yeah, I'm always ready for the new fancy coolness. But so like I think we're at the point now where a new console could be around the corner any minute. It's going to be interesting to see because there's usually pretty close. I mean, Nintendo kind of broke off. They have their own cycle now, but Xbox and PlayStation have been pretty like similar since the 360 PS3 days, or maybe not that long, but you know what I'm saying. They've more and more become very similar as far as like when they release stuff, how they do it. But it's going to be interesting with the One X and the Pro. Like, is that going to really affect the life cycle? Some people think yes, some people think no. Are we kind of going to just get like a continuing platform? I could see both Sony and Microsoft doing that, where compatibility is just kind of a thing. So maybe it's not such a big deal when the PS5 comes out, or the Xbox, whatever, One X, ZY, X comes out, whatever. But yeah. I mean, I think it could be any day now. We could hear something, or maybe they will postpone it. But yeah, the PS3 has had a good run, especially like since the like rough start or whatever. That console is awesome. People who are still like mad that it was expensive when it came out and are still like holding grudges, like, you need to like let that go and get a cheap PS3. There are some amazing games on there. So I'm happy to see that they're moving on and focusing on the future, but it is a little sad to kind of see those consoles go. So also, I know, didn't Sony just have a change in an executive change? I'm trying to remember.
They sure did.
Maybe
we'll talk about that in a minute.
Maybe. Well, yeah, true. Maybe that was one of the moves. Like, hey, you know what? Let's start looking to the future and move on from this kind of thing. So either way,
Yeah,
I don't think
true.
I don't think it's a negative. I mean, yes, it's less games, but I think it will make the future better. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. I think too. I know you guys. You were talking about Rainbow Six Siege last week, and they have like this 10-year plan for the game, and you're kind of looking at getting into next gen at some point. But and one of the things I know Ben mentioned, was kind of compatibility. But I'm thinking now that we're on the x86 architecture, if we're going to stay on that going forward, I think it'll be a lot easier for a lot of these games to live on past the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, assuming the consoles that come after them are also going to be on the same architecture. I can't imagine that like things like Rainbow Six Siege and Destiny are going to be completely left in the dust. I feel like we're still going to have systems that are compatible with them. So I don't know. I think that's a good point.
Also, you notice a trend of games like even like we always used to get like Game of the Year edition or Platinum Hit or whatever. Edition of games would get re-released, but now we're getting like a lot of remasters of games that are from this generation. We're getting like definitive ultimate Game of the Year Master Edition. So like they're going to keep touching up the software, and they're going to probably like compatibility is probably a part of that, and might even be why we're starting to see that like kind of testing the waters kind of thing. Possibly, I'm not behind the scenes at Sony or Microsoft or whatever, but I can definitely kind of see compatibility being less and less of an issue.
Yeah. Hopefully, at least hopefully. Like I said, none of us work for any of these companies. I have no idea how hard any of that stuff is, but hopefully this time around, a lot of the stuff will be able to be carried forward. But what do you guys think of this? Write into us, podcast@shortpause.com. Let us know your thoughts about PlayStation dropping PS3 and Vita games. Does that upset you? Are you okay with it? what do you think it means? Do you also think that maybe we're on the verge of a PlayStation 5 reveal or anything, or what you'd want them to replace the missing titles with? If you want to just see 6 PlayStation 4 games a month, let us know. So up next, Detroit Become Human finally has a release date, May 25th.
Cool.
Spring, right? That's what they said.
Yeah.
So, Bender, you picking that one up?
I think so. Even though I've never played any of the other Quantic Dream games, this one definitely looks very, very interesting. From all the trailers we've seen, I know it seems like it's going to touch on some very real subject matter and very mature themes, but it looks like it's going to be really cool, and it looks great, graphically and everything. So yeah, I'm very intrigued by this game.
Nice. JD, what do you think about Detroit? Is this something on your radar?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's going to be like gorgeous, and I like me a deep thinking man's game. However, I know I've said this 1,000 times. Depending on the serious subject matter that they touch on, I might, if it goes into too many hot button issues, if you will, it might turn me off a little bit. But I'll still probably pick it up, and it'll just be a matter of if I throw the disc out the window and scream as loud as I can, or just play it all the way through. So
that's fair. Gotcha. I mean, I personally have never sat down and played through any of their games before. I did pick up Heavy Rain. That's one I'd always heard was really cool. I think I also have Indigo Prophecy. They ended up doing one of those PlayStation 2 remasters on PS4. So I know I had picked that one up. It's another one I've heard a lot of really great things about. But I'm excited about it, though. I think every time we've seen this game, it looks just ridiculously cool. All the things they have that you can interact with in there, the different story paths you can go down, just from like the littlest things of picking up a fish that falls out of a bowl and just stuff like that. So I'm very, very curious to see how that game is. So May 25th, I think that's a good spot for it. I don't know where you guys are with the date. Is that reasonable for you?
that's a good spot for that game, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. I can't think of a ton of stuff that's coming out in May that we know of yet.
And that just seems
yes.
that just seems like a time of year for that, like a different kind of change of pace type of game. You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
seems like a good spot for that.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so up next, like JD had alluded to, Sony is going to kind of be doubling down on their pledge to delivering first-party games. So this is a quote from a press release on the Sony Interactive Entertainment website. Quote, "Increasingly, the value of interactive entertainment is differentiated by the broad spectrum and depth of experiences that it provides to customers. As such, Sony Interactive Entertainment's mission to create and develop the most attractive and powerful first-party titles has become more important than ever." So, obviously, I think Andrew House is out the door at the end of this month, if I'm not mistaken. So all these shifting rounds will be taking place on April 1st. So the way that they're planning on carrying out this attack, the chairman of Worldwide Studios and Sony Entertainment America President Sean Layden will be focusing on continuing to provide platform-defining content that helps drive the growth of Sony Interactive Entertainment. American, European, and Japanese sales and marketing divisions. Meanwhile, he will report to Deputy President and Global Sales Ryan and Sony Entertainment Interactive President and CEO John Codera will assume the role of executive in charge of regions, with Codera covering the Americas and Japan and Asia. I don't know why it says Japan, Asia. I'm pretty sure that's the same thing. While Jim Ryan, of course, will cover Europe. Current Sony Entertainment Japan President Atsushi Morita will report to Codera to support the management of cross-functional activities for the Japanese Asian markets. So I don't know what you guys think about the shakeup. Do you think this kind of stuff's gonna, be beneficial to us in any way, Bender?
If they're focusing more on first-party titles and that leads to more games, then yeah, it'll be good for us. But outside of that, I don't think it's going to really affect us too much. It's kind of seems like more of an internal thing that they're just kind of shifting things around. But yeah, as long as they keep coming out with good games and Where's Spider-Man? Where's the release date for Spider-Man? Somebody tell us.
That has to be next, right? We got Detroit. That's obviously the next one, I'm hoping.
I hope so too.
But JD, what are your thoughts about this? Obviously they kind of touch on the importance of their first party, stuff. Do you think this is going to see them kind of going more after, things like, these deals for things like Street Fighter V? Do you think they're going to want to double down on expanding their studio portfolio? Like, what do you think this is going to do for them?
Well, so as far as like the shaking up of people, like it's hard to say who like is responsible for what. Like I get what their titles are, but it's hard to say who actually causes A or B to happen. You know what I mean? So that it's hard to say, but just the little title, Sony Interactive Entertainment to double down on first party exclusives. That's like, oh man, please. Just last year alone, think about all those good games. Now, first party to me means like Horizon and like, Uncharted, right? So either way, more first party, like truly first party games. That's amazing. Sony's the king of that, at least this generation. If it also means just exclusive games, that's going to be incredible. So they're killing it. That's one of their best like selling points. And if I was working at Sony, I'd be like, yeah, let's double down on this. And as long as the quality stays the same, which there's no reason to think it won't, that's going to be huge. And I look forward to it.
Awesome. Yeah, like I said, I'm not too sure what this is going to actually mean for us, but like you said, if they can double down on getting out more first party games, and I think that's been a lot of the where kind of some of this is coming from, is a lot of people point out like Sony is kind of known for showing a title of multiple E3s and not even necessarily giving a release date the second time around. So hopefully this kind of helps alleviate that whatever they end up doing about it, but. I guess we'll see going forward. Up next, this story kind of sucks, but David Jaffe's Bartlett Jones Supernatural Detective Agency has closed down. It was kind of cool to see like one of the things they were working on. Jaffe had released this image of this Iron Man VR game that they were prototyping. They didn't have funding and they didn't get a chance to pitch it to Marvel, unfortunately. But it looks cool, like you were going to be able to talk to Jarvis and basically be Iron Man, which... we know that Jaffe is a massive comic book fan, so seeing someone like him tackling a project like that would have been really awesome, and I think would have been a really huge game for VR. But it sucks. I hate seeing companies like that go under. But Bender, what are your thoughts on this? I know we enjoyed our time with Drawn to Death. I know you're also a Marvel fan. What are your thoughts on this project that they didn't quite get off the ground?
Yeah, that's very disappointing. It's always sad to see a studio shut down and people lose their jobs, and hopefully they'll be able to land on their feet. But it's also disappointing to learn that they were prototyping this Iron Man VR title. I mean, that would have been awesome if that kind of took off and ended up being made. That would have been a lot of fun. And it also was one of the best named game development studios ever.
Yes.
Bartlett Jones Supernatural Detective Agency. That's so clever and unique.
Yeah.
And it's just too bad that they're gonna be closing down.
Yeah, they even had like that whole goofy backstory for the studio and everything. It was great.
Mm-hmm. They had a cool logo with like a ghost with a magnifying glass and a fedora, and it was really cool.
Yeah, and I thought too it was really great as they were developing Drawn to Death. They were constantly like streaming the progress of that game. Just the team hanging out, like Jaffe opening mystery minifigures and stuff. So it seemed like they were a really close group. So it really sucks that they're out now. But JD, I don't know if you got a chance to play Drawn to Death, but what are your thoughts on this, the Iron Man VR game? It's the loss of another great studio.
I mean, I didn't play Drawn to Death. I did watch you guys. I believe you streamed it or made a video of it, and that interview with Jaffe was sweet also.
That was really cool.
Everyone who hasn't checked that out should. I don't remember what episode it was. 100 or 101 maybe?
I'm not sure. I know it was our E3 episode.
Okay,
for
there you go.
Last year. So
wasn't too far back.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's always sad to see a studio close. That Iron Man VR thing, again, even though I might get sick, the idea sounds cool, and Yeah, Iron Man. Like I'm not huge into like comics in general or superheroes in general, but Iron Man is one of the ones I kind of really like. And Robert Downey Jr. for whatever reason, he's hilarious to me. Even like when he's not trying to be funny, he's just I don't know. I like him a lot, and I think he's good as Iron Man. So anything with Iron Man is cool, and that would be really sweet. So what are you gonna do? I mean, you just hope that they can figure it out. I mean, he's a talented guy, so I'm sure he's gonna land on his feet, and just hope that everyone else involved is all good.
Yeah, that's my thoughts too. I know he's mentioned on Twitter. No, he's not leaving like the creative or gaming. Obviously he'll go on to do something else. But I don't know. I was really sad to see that it was an Iron Man game they're working on, because that's one of the. I think Iron Man is one of the properties that I think is just prime for VR. You know what I mean? Getting to like fly around in the Iron Man suit, talk to Jarvis, and like there's talking in there like how power level this and divert this that, and just like interacting with Jarvis and blasting people out of the air, like that would be awesome. So really sad that won't happen, at least now. Hopefully he doesn't give up and is able to maybe find a way to get something like that off the ground. But I know they're also holding a charity giveaway. They had a bunch of stuff around the studio that they have to get rid of. I know one of them is like this 2-foot Kratos statue. It looks pretty badass. Office chairs, all that stuff. I think the machete from the Twisted Metal PS3 game. Some
that's sad.
Twisted Metal stuff. Yeah, just all kinds of stuff.
Hopefully that stuff goes to a good place.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, Jaffe's been tweeting about that all weekend. They're raffling it off. They're not selling it. I think he had mentioned he wanted to donate it to Extra Life, but they just don't have the time to, palletize it and ship it out. So, so people in downtown San Diego, I think they're doing it on, of course, Sunday, of course. So after you're hearing this, it'll have already happened, but they'll be giving away all that stuff at the studio. So hopefully if you're in the area and you got a chance to go to that, maybe you got something cool, let us know if you did. That'd be cool. I love seeing stuff like that. So, but either way, it sucks. I'm sorry. I hope all of you land on your feet. And look forward to seeing what Jaffe decides to do after this. Like you guys said, he's a very talented guy. And I thought all the team there was very talented too. So, be curious to see where all they move on to from there. Mm-hmm. Up next, Bender. I know you are a big Planet of the Apes fan. I actually picked the movies up on your recommendation. Still haven't watched them, of course. And we kind of had a VR game that kind of just randomly came out at some point in time. I don't know if you ever got a chance to pick that up or not. But there's another one coming out. Crisis on the Planet of the Apes VR will be coming out on April 3rd. So, Bender, do you have any interest in playing these games of VR?
I do, and I don't remember, was the first one a VR game? I think it might have just been a regular PS4 game.
Like may have been.
I don't remember if it was VR or not. This may be the first VR Planet of the Apes game. But yeah, I'm interested in it. I like that universe. I like those characters and everything. If it's based on the same universe as the reboot Planet of the Apes movies with Andy Serkis and everything, then I'll definitely be down for that. That sounds really cool. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the events, so I don't really want to read the description because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone like myself who hasn't seen the movie. So, but it does sound like this is tied to the events from the movies. So,
cool.
Yeah, I assume this is something on your radar, so we'll look for that on April 3rd. So that'll be pretty cool. JD, do you have an interest in Planet of the Apes?
Well, all I know is that they've really done it. They blew it up. You maniacs! And I won't say the other part.
Is that what that's from? I never knew that's what that was from.
Damn you all to hell! That's from the
original Planet of the Apes with Charlton Heston.
Yeah, that's the old school one.
Yep.
Huh. Nice. Yeah, I've never sat down and watched them. So
I was here the whole time. It's a good movie. Cool. Even that old one is good.
Yeah, that first one is a classic. I really love it.
Oh, actually, so there's an antique shop down the road from my parents' house, and there's always this Statue of Liberty, like mini statue in the place. By mini, it's like 4 feet. It's mini compared to the Statue of Liberty, obviously. And one day I go to my parents' house and it's on the deck. And my dad's like, yeah, I got that because your mom always liked it. And it was from the first private showing of Planet of the Apes. It was in the like mini theater that they showed it in. So that's pretty cool.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, I mean, the guy could have just been lying, I guess, but that's what he told my dad anyway.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So up next, look, I was really, really excited with rumors of the Spyro trilogy being remastered started to surface. So now there appears to be a new interesting wrinkle to this story. So a person, who on Twitter just happened to uncover the at Spyro the Dragon Twitter account. The account itself is currently protected, and I believe it has the name Falcon McBob as the name of the account. But so I guess this person must have tried to reset the password or something, but the account shows an email of sp3 at a bunch of asterisks.com, obviously. So, which of course is a perfect fit for Spyro at Activision.com.
Oh, right. You lost me there for a second, but okay, I got you now.
So people are bringing this back around to being a Spyro thing because the account that's protected, like I mentioned, the name on there is Falcon McBob. There's currently a voiceover project in the works at Activision that's codenamed Falcon, and Toys for Bob is the builder or the developer behind the Skylanders series and figures. Of course, they have been the ones handling Spyro. So, I don't know. It could be a coincidence, but I think it's a safe bet that something big is happening with Spyro at Activision. Bender, do you think they're going to want to go with a new Spyro game, or do you think we're actually going to get the remasters?
I think most likely they would put out the remaster like they did with Crash and just see how it's received before they greenlight a new Spyro game. Could be wrong, but that's what I would like to see. I wouldn't mind seeing the remasters because, like I said before, I never really played those, so those would be all new to me. So if they do that, that'll be cool.
Yeah, Spyro's the only game that I've really have played a lot of on the PlayStation 1. Still haven't played through one to completion, but my cousin had a PlayStation, so that's where I was introduced to Twisted Metal 2 and Spyro. I know you had Crash Bandicoot, but I never really, like I've said before, I just never really got into Crash. But man, I love Spyro. It's early Insomniac. It's still like their brand of humor. And I thought the gameplay was really fun back in the day. I mean, I don't know how well it's aged. It's been a long time since I've played one of those, but I'm excited. I do. I'm with you. I hope this is the trilogy's remasters, kind of in the vein of Spyro or in the vein of Crash. I do. It's the logical next step. But JD, have you ever messed around with Spyro at all? Do you have any interest in this, being a remaster?
Yeah. I played some Spyro. A friend of mine had it on the PS1 back in the day when we weren't playing Resident Evil. That was one of the ones we'd mess around with. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be craving it normally. Like, I wouldn't be like, hey, I really feel like playing Spyro. But if it shows up, yeah, I'm down for some Spyro. Let's do it. Let's fly around, burn stuff with a dragon thingy.
Yeah,
right? He's a little green dragon thingy, right?
He's a purple dragon.
Purple.
Yeah.
See, it's been a while. But yeah, no, I'm down for that. Yeah, look, I'm a fan of nostalgia. Who isn't, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think if anything, it's just cool to revisit that stuff, even if it's not something you're gonna put 125 hours into or whatever,
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just excited for trophies. I love going after some trophies. So
you guys love your trophies.
Spyro would be great to finally get trophies for.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So we'll keep an eye on that story, though. Hopefully, in the coming weeks, months, we'll get an announcement about that Spyro Trilogy remaster. Up next, Brawlhalla developer Blue Mammoth has been acquired by Ubisoft. So Blue Mammoth was out there, reassuring people, yes, we have a big publisher behind us now, but Brawlhalla will always be free and will never be pay to win, despite any changes in the company or its ownership. Matt Woomer, who's the president of Blue Mammoth, praised the acquisition, thanking fans for sticking with them. Quote, "Thank you all for being here for it. I want to especially thank tournament organizers, clan leaders, streamers, folks making video content, and all the other leaders of the Brawlhalla community. You are the engine that makes Brawlhalla go. Thank you, and here's to another big year." So I think it's great that they have the backing of a big publisher now. I know they were saying in this announcement too that this kind of adds more stability and more resources to them to continue adding new features to the game, continue supporting the game. Because like we mentioned, it is a free-to-play game. Bender, don't you like Smash Brothers? Did you ever get a chance to check out Brawlhalla?
No, I did not. Haven't checked out yet.
Yeah, I downloaded it because I know Boyce was talking about firing it up one of these nights, but I just haven't had a chance. But JD, what about you? This is a free-to-play kind of Smash Brothers-esque fighting game. Any interest?
Yeah, definitely interested. What's the one I picked up on the Switch? Was it Brawlout?
Brawlout.
Yeah, that one was pretty fun. I mean, it was a little rough at certain spots, but I enjoyed that, and especially since there's no Smash for any platform I have right now. I might check that out.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's
free,
good.
So
yeah, it's good that they got some money behind them now too. So maybe they can do something cool.
Yeah. I'm just glad to see Ubisoft pick them up. I know there's they could have gone with any other publisher. I think Ubisoft has been very I'll say accommodating to supporting projects like that. I don't feel like Ubisoft is going to force them to drastically change their game or add anything that they weren't wanting to do. I think this is just them kind of getting behind a really cool idea and a really talented development team. So hopefully that's all it is, and Brawlhalla will continue to prosper. Up next, I know we talked a little bit about Horizon Zero Dawn earlier, but a year later now, the game has sold 7.6 million copies, which is great for a brand new IP, I think. There's also a bunch of free stuff on the PlayStation Store. There's a celebratory theme. I think there's a bunch of free avatars. But at 7.6 million, Bender, what do you think of that number?
That's very impressive, especially for a new IP. Something that nobody had seen before. It's well deserved. I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn, it was a fantastic game. I really enjoyed it, and can't wait for them to do a sequel or whatever they're going to do next. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure. JD, 7.6 million. Do you think Guerrilla's going to go back to Killzone after this, or are we going to be getting a sequel?
I mean, I think 7.6 million is pretty good for that situation. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. That sounds pretty good to me. But no, I don't think Killzone. There's a time and place for that game to come back, but I don't think it's now. And I kind of hope I wouldn't mind seeing them do another like one-off cool thing. But hey, more Horizon's cool too. I enjoyed that game quite a bit. So bring on Horizon 2. I'm ready for it. Horizon Uno Dawn.
First Order.
Horizon Uno Dawn.
Uno Dawn. That'd be cool. I mean, now they'll have some story strings, so I don't know. I'd be really happy if they get Lance Reddick back and that whole cast again. Like, there's some cool stories that they could continue on from there if they wanted to. So awesome.
See, I thought that was the weakest part of the game was the story stuff. I think that I think they not that it was bad, but I think that they like. I mean, I guess that would be the sequel would be a good place to tighten that up and stuff. So. Which is what's great about when new IPs get sequels, then you can actually do that kind of thing. So I'm a fan. I'm ready for some more Horizon. So sounds good to me.
Gotcha. I know, like in comparison to like other Guerrilla games, I think this is their strongest story to date.
That's fair.
But I do agree with you. Like I didn't walk away from Horizon. I didn't think the story was that great. I think it had a lot of cool moments.
Sure.
And I really enjoyed the stuff with Lance Reddick. I think he was a really great part of that story. Like his character is just so.
He's just got a cool voice, man.
He does. He has a really cool voice. There's that, but just like his motivations and his, just the things he does in that game, just with his character, that's the kind of stuff that I did really enjoy. And if that's the stuff they're going to kind of use for the sequel, that's what I would want to see them grow on. Ben, what did you think of the story? I know you really liked Horizon, right?
I liked the story. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, especially if you're taking into account all of the side quests and stuff. I thought some of the side quests were really well done, and it made me really care about the characters. And I was happy to see some of those characters again at the end of the story, at the end of the campaign. So yeah, I thought the story was actually pretty good in Horizon. I would be shocked if they didn't do a sequel, because I mean now they have Aloy, who is this awesome character that they've created, and she's kind of become one of the PlayStation mascots, in my opinion. So I could definitely see them expanding on that world and expanding on her story.
Gotcha. Did you finish the Frozen Wilds campaign?
Yes, I finished the Frozen Wilds campaign, but there were like a couple of side quests that I never finished, so I do need to go back to it. But I finished the main campaign for it, and it was really good.
Yeah, the final boss is on my street in the town I live in the Frozen Wilds.
The final mission is uncovering your car.
Yeah, it's trying to get me out of my house before I freeze to death.
So was that story, was that like a standalone thing, or was that like a growing part of the Horizon story?
It was pretty much a standalone thing. The way they did it is, it was something that you didn't necessarily have to wait until the end of the campaign to do it. It was actually like about level 30 that they inserted it in there. So if you're playing, the complete edition from the beginning, then that would be a side quest type, like a whole bunch of side quests that you'll come across at around level 30. So,
gotcha.
But it is a self-contained story in the northern area in the Banuk region. So it's not, it's not an in-game type of thing. It's just a side story within the game.
Gotcha. I haven't played it yet. Jamie still has my copy of the game, so.
Oh no.
Yeah, so one day I'll get it back and finally fire it up. But it drives me nuts because it's installed but not installed because I haven't fired up the game. So it sits on my installation list. Then it won't go away until I finally install it officially. So one of these days. Cool. So let's jump into some EA news and rumors leaks real quick. First up, is Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 3 coming? Probably. So there was an Amazon listing for a comic book of all things for Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare that mentions that it bridges the gap between the story in Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2 and Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 3. Huh. Weird. Bender, what do you think about this? You game for more Garden Warfare?
Yeah, as long as they don't have a character that's so overpowered that we decide to quit playing.
Yeah.
That's what happened with 2.
Yep.
Because from when I played it 2, I really enjoyed it. I thought that was really cool. The different character classes are a lot of fun to play as, and the side quests and all that stuff. So it's a cool game. So hopefully they'll have it a lot more balanced. Maybe they've balanced 2 by now. I don't know. We haven't gone back to it and checked it out, but no clue. But I did like what I played of it, so I would be willing to try out another one.
We should probably go back and check that thing out and see, because I know they've added a lot of stuff. So I wouldn't be opposed to it. I know the thistles were a thing they were talking about nerfing, but I assume they did. They had to have, because those things
they
sucked.
must have. Yeah, everyone was playing as Rose.
Yeah,
and just like wrecking everything.
Yeah,
and I would play as Rose too because she was the most powerful character. So hopefully they balance that a little bit better.
Yeah, JD, you ever get into Garden Warfare at all?
I played a little bit of it, the first one, but yeah, I'd check out some more Garden Warfare. If you guys want to play, they'll just give me a week or 2 before I wreck everyone, so I'm down.
Yeah, well, if they never patched it, all you gotta do is play as that cheap character and just shoot homing attacks to everybody.
I'll probably do horrible.
That was like the most heartbreaking thing for me was I felt the first game was so balanced. Like all the characters, even playing as like the Chomper, who a lot of people look at as a disadvantage because he has to, basically with tunneling underground, eating people, you have to digest them before you can go and do the attack again. So he's kind of more prone to getting killed a lot quicker. But I felt like a lot of the characters they brought in from the first game, they weren't balanced well enough against the newer characters. So especially the Imp, especially if you bring down like the Titan for him, if you're a Chomper, unless you have like a Flame or an Ice Chomper, you're not going to be able to do anything to the Titan. You're just going to get wrecked. So I thought some of that stuff was really frustrating and kind of hard to get over. But hopefully, if they do get to have another go with Garden Warfare, don't know, where you guys are at with, what you saw in 2 or anything, like what kind of expectations you would have for a third game. But I want to go ahead and just guess that, at the forefront, I think for a lot of us, it is just balance the characters out the first time. Like don't launch another, with another Rose situation. I think, that was detrimental to that game, for us, to that game. So,
yeah.
But cool. So hopefully E3, we'll be seeing an announcement for that, and then I will be really excited again. Up next, JD, this is probably right up your alley here. The next Battlefield will be Battlefield 5, because I guess that's how we're going to do Battlefield now. We're just going to make up numbers as we do them. But this one's going to be set in World War II, of course. Obviously, Call of Duty enjoying a lot of success going back. Battlefield 1 was very successful. So Battlefield 5 looking to go back to World War II. What do you think about that? Are you feeling like now's a good time to keep rolling out some, World War II, World War I era games, or do you kind of, miss the more modern stuff?
I mean, I don't think they can go wrong with either setting. The Battlefield multiplayer games, in my opinion, are way better than COD. The thing with Call of Duty is it's like, it's a competitive, it's a very twitchy type of game, but to me, just Battlefield overall is just a better type of multiplayer, and I played tons and tons and tons of Battlefield 4 on my 360 and then on my Xbox One. Battlefield 1, I love the game, but for whatever reason, the servers, or maybe it's my internet, I don't think it's my internet because I don't have this problem really with anything else, but it just was so laggy and buggy, so I didn't really get into the multiplayer like I did with 4, but the gameplay is still amazing, so I don't think they can do wrong. World War II, it's been done to death, but I'm excited to see what they can do in that era. Just enough with the we got enough futuristic games in general. Leave that to other people. I think these Call of Duty and Battlefield, I think being grounded in reality or close to it is the key to success for both of them.
Yeah, I agree. I was talking to one of my other friends, and he was saying how, like when Call of Duty was doing the whole wall running thing, it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like something that really needed to be there.
Titanfall does it the best.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's so good. They nailed the parkour. So.
Yeah, but I mean, it also makes sense in the world of Titanfall. You have these massive titans, so of course you're going to run along walls, have jetpacks jumping on top of these things. That makes all the sense in the world. But for, a grounded military shooter, you don't need to be running on walls. You're not trying to fight massive robots. So, I don't know.
Yeah, like Advanced Warfare I liked a lot. I liked the campaign in particular. But like when they kept doing it and they kept doing it and they kept doing it, it got old fast.
Yeah, especially since that was like the trend too. So it wasn't even just them; it was just like that oversaturation of it. So
yeah, and they did it with all of their they usually they have the 3 studio cycle. Yeah. I'm drawing a blank on the developers, but it used to be like they would kind of like it was Modern Warfare, and then it was like Black Ops, and then World at War. Like it was kind of like varied, and then it was just Black Ops, Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare. They're all like the same game, kind of. I know hardcore COD fans will flip out because of the nuances with those games, but I think you get what I'm saying. Yeah. So I like the grounded approach.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like I said, I think that works better for those games, and that's the thing I've always enjoyed about Battlefield is it is much more slower paced, and I feel like you have a lot more variety in what you're doing. You have vehicles,
better gunfights.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think too, like just like adding the vehicles in there, even having people flying around. So
yeah, oh yeah.
But so hopefully again E3, hopefully EA Plays event we'll be seeing Battlefield 5 for the first time. I don't know, I feel ready to jump back into a Battlefield game, so I'm I was kind of hoping it'd be a new Bad Company. I'm one of those people. Bad Company 2 is my introduction to the Battlefield franchise in general, so
those are sweet
they're
games.
Great. I fell absolutely in love with Bad Company 2, sunk hundreds of hours into that game. I had, coworkers I never met before who, we were all playing that game, would, go out, have a drink, go home, and, roll in a tank and mow people down. It was a lot of fun, so definitely miss Bad Company. If even if they went back and just remastered Bad Company 2, I'd be totally fine with that.
That would be sweet.
I know they've said before, like, they don't understand why people love Bad Company. Just remaster them. I'll be totally fine with that. But
yeah, sign me up.
yeah. So awesome. So we'll again keep our eye on that and see what transpires from here to E3. And up next is just a little snippet about A Way Out. Joseph Fares and his team actually handled all the mocap and stunts for the game. So Joseph was doing a recent Tame interview with EA, and he says, quote, "Not only did we do all the mocap, we did all of the game stunts as well. We didn't have a stunt guy, so all the jumping, fighting, and everything else players will see in the game is done completely by us. It was pretty tough going, but we just got on with it, even though we hurt ourselves a few times. If you believe in something and are passionate about it, then you're prepared to do anything for it, even if it's long walk and run cycle sessions for Motion Batch, where we captured everything, animation and movement possible, from crawling to crouching to sprinting to jogging for almost 20 hours. That's insane.
Wow.
Man, so he's obviously very passionate about his game, but he did all the emotion work for the character Leo in the game. So I think that's pretty great. That's he's in there, like those are his characters, his game, and he's actually in there, the front lines, doing all the motion work for them. I think that's pretty cool. Bender, I know Joseph has been a very controversial figure to say the least for them, but I don't think it's anyone can really argue his passion for A Way Out and this game. I'm excited about it. I know it's one that you have on your radar as well, but what do you think? You also agree that it's cool to see him this involved with the game?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's definitely passionate about the game, and that passion is contagious. It makes me really want to play the game. Very impressive that they did all the mocap work and they didn't hire like a professional to do it or anything. So that's really interesting, because just from seeing some of the trailers, they did a lot of like stunt work from what I've seen, like jumping and running and rolling and all kinds of stuff like that. So it's really interesting. So I'm really looking forward to checking that game out, and hopefully we'll be able to play it together and stream it or something. That sounds looks like it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that is one that I have pre-ordered, paid off. So 23rd, we'll finish up Kirby and then we'll do A Way Out.
Nice, sounds good.
Yeah, that'll be fun. JD, what do you think, man? I know you've you've always expressed interest in making your own game. How do 20 hours of running, jumping, and doing mocap sound to you?
Dude, I will gladly do the motion capture for the RTS game that I want to make, man. Absolutely. No, that's great. Hey, that's look, anytime you see someone putting extra work, putting their passion into things, it's cool to see. I dig it. And if my memory serves me, this was the guy who had some interesting things to say at the Game Awards.
Yep. To say the least, yeah.
That's what you were getting at before. Okay, no, I think that's great. Yeah, I just wonder, is Leo in the game gonna be like flinching before he gets attacked and like limping after like running around for 20 hours? No, all jokes aside, that's cool. That is cool.
That'd be a funny Easter egg.
Yeah, that would be. Like, I did all my own motion capture. Like, so like when the other guy was like swinging the his like fake weapon at me and I flinched, that's why. So sorry guys.
Yeah, awesome. So we're gonna take a quick break, guys. We got some music here from JD, actually. The title of this track is Humble in Victory. So JD, we'll talk to you about this in a minute when we come back, but again, this is Humble in Victory, composed by JD himself. We'll be right back. welcome back. So again, that was Humble and Victory. JD, why don't you tell us about this? What inspired you to create this track?
So that's just I've recorded a few that are like video game inspired tracks. Obviously, they're not from an actual game, but that's in the vein of something you would hear in a Halo or Destiny game, at least to my ears. Obviously not as good as the masters that make the music for those games, but that's kind of what I was going for there, and I don't know, it's something maybe I could see it happening at the end of like an important boss fight or something like that. But yeah, just thought it was a cool little tune. So I was happy that you guys were interested in hearing it.
Yeah, we appreciate you sharing it with us. I know you've probably played some of these at the end of your episodes. I know you've put some of your stuff at the end of some playlist episodes. So it's always nice to get some other stuff on the show. So thank you for submitting that to us.
Of course.
Cool. All right, guys, let's jump back into some just general things going on in the industry. First up, Crytek CEO, I'm going to butcher this guy's name because I've never really known how to pronounce it, but Kevati Yurli has stepped down from his CEO position at the Crysis and Rise developer Crytek. This is from his statement about it. Quote, with the company in a strong position, now is the ideal time to recognize the existing leadership's excellent achievement over these past 2 years and formally transition executive leadership to Avni and Farouk. Kevat explained in a statement announcing his change in status. Quote, I have been honored to serve as CEO of the company I founded with my brothers almost 20 years ago now, and have seen the team accomplish breakthrough things in that time. I look forward to continue helping Crytek as a major shareholder, and I am very excited to see what tomorrow brings. I have every confidence that the company will continue to shine under the guidance of Avni and Farouk and the rest of the leadership team. End quote. So, obviously, Crytek has had a rough couple years. We saw them on the verge of bankruptcy. A lot of developers weren't getting paid for a long period of time. We saw a lot of the Crytek UK team that were working on Homefront leave, putting that game's status in jeopardy. Obviously, that ultimately ended up with Crytek selling the game and studio, what was left of it, to Deep Silver. But what do you guys think of this? Just reading between the lines here, it almost kind of seems like he's being forced out. Again, I don't know. I mean, it's the three brothers are kind of in charge of this company, but JD, I want to come to you first. Like, hearing this statement, what are your thoughts? Do you think he was forced out? Do you think this was something that he was like he mentioned with the company is where it's at now? Now's the time to step out. Like, what do you think?
Again, it's hard to say. I mean, sometimes with this stuff, there's like financial, legal reasons that go on with this kind of thing. But I mean, yeah, you could definitely interpret that as he was maybe reluctantly stepping down. Yeah, I don't know what happened with Crytek. Like they were, I always thought of them as like pretty top notch for a while, and then it just seemed to like, boom, crash and burn. So, or not so much crash and burn, like a slow burning, miserable death or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's I mean, hopefully it's a good thing for everyone involved. But yeah, I don't know. Let's get a cool Crisis game again.
Right? That's the first thing I thought too was, just either
somehow
remaster
make this,
Crisis,
yeah.
give us a new one. I don't know. But, we see a lot of games, nowadays, and it's weird, looking at it this way, but, back last generation, games that ran on the CryEngine were some of the most impressive looking games that we saw. Obviously you mentioned the Crisis games. I think 2 and 3 are just visually some of the best looking games that are out from last generation.
Original Far Cry too, I believe.
Yeah. That was actually them too. Like Crytek was responsible for that one, and then I think Ubisoft ended up selling the franchise to them. But
right.
But I mean, coming into this generation though, it's been strange. Kind of, you see a lot of developers struggling with the CryEngine. We know Kingdom Come Deliverance is built on CryEngine. They couldn't implement HDR because CryEngine doesn't support it. It's just weird, kind of seeing how where they've been, standing in terms of like, game engines over the past couple of years. I mean, and I think you have a good point too. I mean, I think like they've always been, capable, obviously, of showcasing what their engine can do. So I
I
think
think Rise was the last like one they made that was just like beautiful, right?
yeah,
Like
and
in that
again,
engine.
yeah, and again, that was a 900p game, and I still think it's one of the best looking games on the Xbox One.
Oh yeah, it's
So,
beautiful.
Yeah, and I know that game didn't. It performed to what Microsoft, had forecasted for them, but I think they were still expecting it to do a little bit better. I guess, I don't know, but it's been weird not seeing Crytek like in the big picture.
Yeah, I mean that one was at the heyday of Microsoft's problems, or the start of it. I guess that was like when they were really screwing up, if you want to call it that. But another, I know we kind of talked about this a little bit before, just briefly. This is one of those things where like you need a sequel for a game to there's enough good interest in Rise. Why not do a sequel? And I think it would sell better, and you could touch up some things. But hey, it is what it is,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bender, I don't know if you're a big Crytek fan or not, but what do you think about all this? Do you see this as maybe his brother's kind of forcing him to step down?
It's tough to say. From the statement, it sounds like that is possibly what's going on, but we don't really know. We have really no way of knowing. And I'm not too familiar with Crytek or anything they've done. I don't think I've played any of their games that I can remember, but so I'm not really sure.
I think you might like the Crysis games. They're sci-fi first-person shooters, but I mean there are generic like military-type enemies that you fight, but you have really cool powers with the suit. You can like enhance yourself to have improved armor, hit harder. You can go invisible, sneak around people, do stealth kills. But I think the games are really cool. You might actually enjoy them. The story is pretty good too.
That's cool. Sounds cool.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I said, it's just for me, it's been strange because there was a point in time where I think Crytek and the CryEngine were like the kings of just amazing looking games, and lately it's just looking at what other engines or even Unity is able to do. It's just like I just don't understand what happened to Crytek and the CryEngine over the past couple of years, but I don't know. Hopefully, hopefully Crytek is in better hands with the brothers taking over. I just think it's strange that he's stepping down now, and he's just kind of continuing on as a major shareholder. I don't even know what kind of role that is in the grand scheme of things, but yeah. So again, hopefully Crytek goes strong with his brothers taking over the reins of the company. So up next, we've heard a lot of talk, from a lot of places over, where single player games kind of stand in 2018. A lot of this obviously, kind of came up from the closure of Visceral Games, and seeing EA kind of, in a lot of people's eyes, step away from, single player focused games. Actually, one of a big single player developer, Remedy, has kind of chimed in a little bit on that discussion. And the main point that they made was in 2018, it just doesn't seem like the $100 million, blockbuster single player only games, are viable anymore. So they talk a lot about, making, games, they kind of mention games like Battlefield, Call of Duty, where there is, a really interesting single player thing to do, but then also you have the multiplayer component, which seems more important to, kind of keeping players engaged with your game. So, but they do want to elaborate, Remedy's ambitions not wavered. They're still crazy. They have still crazy high ambitions, and they always have punched above their weight class, which I agree with. You look at things, like Quantum Break, Alan Wake, Remedy is not a massive developer, and just the games that they have put out have been incredible, in my opinion. We were talking a little earlier about, Quantum Break in general, and how, that game, it was very divisive. Some people didn't like the whole TV show aspect of it. Other people, like myself, I enjoyed it. I thought it was something different. Kind of like gave you a whole different perspective on the game's story. But I think it's great to hear that Remedy, obviously, they're kind of expanding their portfolio, in terms of the systems they're working on. Obviously you guys talked about P7 last week, and it being multi-platform, and but what do you guys think? Do you think Remedy has a valid point? The $100 million single player game just isn't going to happen anymore. And JD, I'll come to you first, because I think this kind of ties into Crytek in a way. We've heard before, the Crisis games cost, a lot of money to make, the high 70, 80, 90 million dollars to develop, do you think that because those types of games just aren't, I don't want to say performing, because obviously Horizon did very well for what it is, but again, that's a Sony-backed thing. I mean, you look at someone like Remedy, who's going to rely on someone like, I think they're working with 505 Games for their next game, but like somebody like that, do you think, you know what I mean, like that ridiculously high budget game just isn't viable anymore?
Yeah, it's hard to say. Sometimes I just think it's timing. Like if they had put Quantum Break out or whatever, any game, any company, depending when they put the game out, even if it's a month apart, just like things like hype and stuff can just get the train rolling one way or the other. So it's hard to say, but yeah, I think in general, single player games are going to have to be kind of made in a different way, just in the sense that they can't compete financially with these multiplayer games like post-release income, which, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous to me. Like, why? Like, if you make a single player game, how do I put this? So if you were gonna, before this microtransaction stuff really became like a force to be reckoned with as far as like revenue for companies, like, were the profits they were making from single player games already not enough, or is it like it's not enough now because other people are making more and our backers and our publishers, it's not acceptable anymore? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I wonder where they're coming from. So regardless though, yeah, maybe they're going to have to like be less ambitious in certain areas, I don't know. How much does it cost to make like a Quantum Break that's half as long? Sell it for a little less but still make more money? I mean, I don't know. Or why can't we find that model of single player campaign and multiplayer that just works? It seems like I don't know. They're gonna have to revisit or rethink, I should say. They're gonna have to rethink these kinds of games and find a way that works, because I'm telling you right now, single player games go away or drop in quality, a lot of people are gonna just lose interest in gaming in general. I mean, even if I play 500,000 hours of Halo 5, if there's no Zeldas, if there's no Witchers, I'm not going to spend money on a console. Like, it's not worth it for me. Those are the games I really, really want to play. So they're going to have to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's one of the things I enjoy the most about gaming. I love, teaming up with Bender, Jamie, playing Monster Hunter. I think that's been a ton of fun. And there's a place for those games too. But for me personally, my biggest draw to gaming is experiencing stories like in Uncharted, things like Quantum Break, like stuff like that. That's the stuff I get sucked into. I love a good story. Like we've talked about Life is Strange before. You mentioned The Witcher 3, and
right.
The Witcher 3 is a game that you can play a couple dozen times. I still think it's a game that's enjoyable. The fourth, fifth, sixth time through. And again, you have the DLC. You have all kinds of things that single player games could explore doing. But Bender, I want to come over to you. I think of like Spec Ops: The Line. That was a game that came out. The story was incredible. It's a game a lot of people, talked very highly of, and rightfully so. I personally enjoyed that game. I thought it was a lot of fun, but then 2K had to tack on this, really crappy multiplayer mode that I don't think anybody touched, and it was like this blemish on this, like, I don't want to call it necessarily a masterpiece, but it was an amazing game. But then you had just this really half-assed, multiplayer mode. Do you worry that that's going to kind of become the norm, where a lot of these developers and publishers think that, not only like shoehorning in some kind of multiplayer, but then, now we have, microtransactions wrapped in with everything too? Do you worry we're going to start getting saturated with a lot of that kind of stuff?
It's definitely a concern. I hope that doesn't happen or go too far or become too prevalent. One thing I noticed, though, in his statements here, I don't think he's necessarily saying that single-player games in themselves are going to go away, but he keeps using the word linear. Like he says, it's the more mega-budget, super linear single-player game that are struggling. So I don't know. Maybe he's thinking of things like Quantum Break or like Uncharted, that the more linear. Because when I think of like Horizon Zero Dawn and The Witcher 3, those are more like open-world,
sure,
single-player games. Mm-hmm. So maybe those aren't what he's thinking of, but I don't know. I'm not sure exactly, but
didn't Uncharted do well? Like that didn't like I'm having trouble thinking about like big budget single player games that did bad, let alone didn't do well. You know what I mean? That's why I was getting at with are they comparing their general profits, or are they comparing it to what money is being brought in from these big multiplayer games? Because I think that's a big difference, you know?
I think the Uncharted games always do fairly well. I don't know how good of sales they do, but maybe he's thinking of their own game, Quantum Break. I mean, that's a game that just it didn't drive critics crazy. It didn't drive consumers crazy. It just kind of did okay. Mm-hmm. Even though I think it was a very underrated game, I thought it was a very good game. It's just maybe he was just thinking about, from his own point of view, based on their experience with that game. Maybe
sure.
They're just kind of shifting their focus to something a little bit different next time.
Sure. Like, okay, let's say they sell 2 million copies, right, of Quantum Break, right? That's probably not enough, right? If they sell that many at full price, let's just say they did. We can pretend they sold 2 million at $60, right? If it's $100 million game, we're getting pretty close to them making a decent profit, right? Like, I mean, any profit is good. Obviously, there's little nuances to that. There's goals set, and there's a certain amount of money, but like it's just hard for me to understand how, like, what is considered good anymore? What is considered selling well? Like, is it not enough to make profit anymore? Do you have to make a 200%, 300%, 400% return? Like, this is why it gets confusing. This is why it's hard to speculate on this kind of thing, because it just what's the Kingdom Come game, right? Mm-hmm. They just originally, I think they just announced they sold 1 million copies or something, right? Yep. So they're probably selling those at full price or close to it. I'm sure there's some deals here. So even if they spent $2, $3, $4, $5 million making that game, I don't know how much people donated to it, whatever. Like, they're probably way over the amount of money that they invested in it, right? So it just, how is that game a success? And they probably, it's probably bigger than Quantum Break. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to put a pin on it,
Yeah. Well, one of the things they did mention too that I forgot to throw in here was, they kind of mentioned how a lot of developers now have to be a lot smarter about their budget, and kind of work within that, and kind of try and constrain themselves a little bit more. But I know we talked about Vampire. That's the new Don't Nod game. I think Focus said they just need to sell 1 million copies for it to be a profitable thing for them. So I think it does vary. You have the studios. I feel like Deck 13 with The Surge. Obviously, I think they sold well enough. I don't know if that was like a 1 million plus seller or not, but obviously it did well enough for them, for Focus to go back and be like, hey, let's make a sequel to this. So I think it does vary by not only publisher but developer, and obviously some are going to be a little more loose with their budget, which may or may not be beneficial for the developers. Obviously, the more money you pump in, the more you're going to expect out of it. So
yeah, I actually heard I can't remember who it was. It was an interview with some developer. It might have been on the Game Informer show, and he was expressing kind of like if I remember correctly, he had just left like a big company, so he was able to talk a little bit. But regardless, was saying how, like, kind of touching on what I was getting at, like, even if our game does well, like, we're propping up the whole company. So, like, if EA is, we sell 10 million copies, right? Mm-hmm. Even though that's 300% profit, well, EA spent all this money on advertising, whether we needed it or not. Plus, they dip into it as, like, a community fund. So, like, we're expected to pick up the slack overall, the overhead for the whole publisher. Right. And like, it creates these issues where, like, if you're the big guy, you better sell X amount, regardless of if we make a good profit or not. So I can just, they need to rethink the model, the publishing model, the developing model. They probably just need to rethink it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember hearing something like that too, where there were publishers who, you have the games like Call of Duty that are going to do, gangbusters, and those are going to kind of fund the things like Deadpool that, ultimately come out and just flop. So I know, right. I do know that there've been, definitely have heard stories of that too. And I think even BioWare is probably kind of in that position right now where, they're a very revered developer, and, the last Mass Effect didn't set the world on fire. Now you have their next brand new title coming out, and, we've talked about, our concerns with that game and where it's at, and, is it even going to be ready for when it comes out? Are they going to launch another game that's just not ready to be out yet? Like stuff like that is what sours me on some of this stuff. Obviously, BioWare has been working on Anthem for a long time now. EA has to want that thing out. That's a game they have to be, hundreds of millions of dollars invested into by now. And, to think that, EA is going to want to shove that game out the door, whether it's ready to go or not, and expect it to sell, 10, 20 million copies. You know what I mean? Like you say, like the math just doesn't add up there. You can't do stuff like that and expect, us to run out there, buy it, scoop up microtransactions, and try and support a game that ultimately we shouldn't be playing yet. I think a lot of that kind of plays into some of this too. But I don't know.
Is gaming just getting too big in general? Like I really start to feel like that. Like just it's like socially, it's like everywhere. Like it's I don't know. Like maybe we need to go back to a place where gaming becomes a little more niche or niche, however you want to say it again, where like publishers will focus on supporting maybe less games. Like, what I'm saying? Maybe we need to tone it back a bit. And it just seems like there's too much money involved, and that's just creating all sorts of problems. Maybe I'm crazy, and I know some guy somewhere in some executive office is like, too much money. What are you talking about, guy? But like for real, it just seems like gaming is growing way too fast for the community and the industry itself to handle.
Yeah, and I agree with you too. I think especially with a lot of the indie games coming out, and even like putting together a new release list every week, like we have tons and tons and tons of games out every single week. At some point, you know what I mean? Like there's only so many games all of us can play, and we run into that problem now. There's games I picked, like I saw
way too many.
I haven't even opened my copy of Kingdom Come Deliverance yet. And that's a game I was excited about. It was on my top 5 anticipated list, and I don't have the time. Like I can't put Monster Hunter down, which I just picked up in January. So, you know what I mean? Like we all only have so many hours in a day and only so many games we can play. I agree. I think we're kind of hitting a point of like oversaturation and just stuff to play. So,
and it's just everywhere. Like gaming has just become so like, and I'm not saying this in like a negative way. Like just literally mainstream. Like it's so accessible, it's so common. Like dads are going to buy Xboxes and playing games. Like it's just I feel like it needs to go back to a place in the early 2000s or the 90s where it was like a known quantity, but it was still kind of niche. And I don't know, it just growing too fast. We can't keep up. The industry can't seem to keep up. It's more and more talk about revenue and microtransactions and
games as a service.
Games as a service, amount of games sold. It's too much. Like we need to just tone it back as a community, I think, and an industry.
What do you think, Bender? Do you agree with what JD's saying? You think we should kind of?
Nah, Bender's like, more money, bring on the money.
Yeah, what do you think?
I don't know, man.
Do you feel overwhelmed by your backlog?
Yeah, sometimes. There's definitely tons and tons of games that come out. I mean, between the AAA stuff and the indies and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess gaming, the games industry is getting a little pushed. I don't know, a little crowded, or so, I don't know how to put it.
That's actually a good way to put it. I think, Bender. Crowded.
Yeah.
Like I
could probably like if like no new games came out for like a full year, I could probably like play some of my backlog and still have plenty of things to play.
Yep.
Like,
yeah,
yeah, you're right, man.
Yeah, but yeah, that's a good point, JD. Thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate that. That's a good conversation.
No problem, man. I'm just venting, it's just how I feel.
Yeah, well, that's what we're here for. Cool. All right, so let's move on, guys. Bethesda, they're going to have an E3 showcase this year on June 10th. I don't know what day that is. Is that the weekend? I think that's the weekend. I don't have a calendar in front of me. But anyways, my question is, last year Bethesda had a show. I think every single thing they showed is out. So what could they possibly have to show this year? I can't imagine id has a new game ready to go yet. Evil Within 2 just came out, so Tango Gameworks isn't going to be showing anything. Wolfenstein 2 just came out, so unless Machine Games is going to make another like Old Blood style expansion, I can't imagine we're going to get any kind of new Wolfenstein updates. I don't think Battlecry will be there. But I don't know. JD, what do you think? What do you think Bethesda would have to show this year to justify having another show?
Obviously, it's Prey 2, because that game's
yes.
amazing.
I
wish. I really
cool.
do. Well, if everyone remembers, there was that rumor, or not really a rumor, they said that they're working on 2 massive games, and that's why Elder Scrolls is taking so long. I guess Elder Scrolls 6 would be, I think we're up to. So I think it's going to be that Starfield game is going to be, they might pull a Fallout thing, like, here it is, see you in November type of thing. And I wouldn't be surprised if they just kind of showed a little something about Elder Scrolls. Like, hey, we started working on it. We know it's in this province. It's coming. Like, if people who aren't familiar with Elder Scrolls, each one takes place in a province or a series of provinces in the world, Tamriel, as they call it. So, like, the last one was Skyrim, obviously. Oblivion takes place in Cyrodiil. So I could see them doing, and I'm just picking a random spot, like Akavir, right? And they'll just make a little trailer where you can tell that's where it is or something. And then it will say, like, coming 2020 or something like that. I could see them doing that. But after they announce something much sooner.
Cool. Bender, what about you? Do you? I know you probably haven't messed with a lot of Bethesda's games. I know you picked up Skyrim on the Switch, though. So would you want to see an Elder Scrolls 6?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I'm not sure what else they would be working on unless they're doing something new, like a new IP or something. Maybe they'll make another mobile game. I've heard that Fallout Shelter has been pretty successful for them, so that could be a possibility. But other than that, I really have no idea what they could be working on.
I know you're not super big on card games, but what do you think about something like Elder Scrolls Legends coming to the Switch?
I'd be okay with that. That seems cool. I haven't played that game, but I like card. I'm fairly interested in card games, and I've played some that I like Hearthstone. So that could be cool.
Yeah, I know that Hearthstone was rumored for a while coming to the Switch, but I think something like Elder Scrolls Legends on there would be a lot of fun. It's one of the only mobile games I've really gotten into, so I don't know. I would be all about something like that, but yeah, cool. So it'll be interesting to see what Bethesda has in store for us this year. I was kind of shocked to see that they're even going to be there, because I figured they only want to do a show if they have something worth doing a show for. So guess we'll find out. I have no idea. I know Arcane's working on something new, so hopefully, I don't know how far along they are, if they're going to have anything to show just yet, but that would be cool to see, but who knows? So tune into our E3 coverage and find out with us. Cool. So
That's
up next, Tony Hawk is no longer working with Activision to make Tony Hawk games.
Funny.
Yeah. So I guess people are constantly asking Tony Hawk himself to go back and remaster the old games, fix the servers, what have you. So he actually responded to someone's comment on Twitter, explaining that, he does not, he's not involved with Activision, doesn't have the ability to do anything about making those old games. He's not working with them anymore. So Tony Hawk and Activision seem to have parted ways. But Activision does still own the license to, the Tony Hawk brand and his likeness, I guess. Which it has to be awkward, like an awkward business partnership.
I was just gonna say that somebody owned your name and likeness. Like, and Tony Hawk's a rich dude, so it's like even he can't like buy his own like soul back from them. They're like, yeah, we own you, we own your soul, man.
Basically,
and he's just like, whatever. I'm gonna go skate in my half pipe later.
But I don't know. I mean, Bender, I know you. I think you've mentioned before you've dabbled with the Tony Hawk skating games. What do you think about this? Do you think Activision's going to continue maybe making Tony Hawk branded pro skater games? Do you think that license means anything without directly working with Tony Hawk?
I don't know, man. After Tony Hawk 5, I'm okay with they just let that series die. I mean, that game was like the last glimmer of hope that they were going to bring back those games that I remember so well and that I love so much from like the Tony Hawk 2 and 3 days.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, but no, that turned out to be a mistake.
Yeah.
So I don't have a lot of hope that they're going to make any good skating games anymore. But it's a shame, but it's whatever. So
let me ask you this. Activision's mentioned before that they want to kind of go back and remaster a lot of things. Do you think maybe going back and remastering some of the other Tony Hawk games is something they would want to do?
Maybe. I mean, since they did Crash and they're possibly doing Spyro, I could see them maybe going back and remaster. I would love if they did like a Tony Hawk 1 through 4 remaster collection. That would be awesome. I would be there day one for that if they do something like that. As long as they looked good and played as good as the old games did. But yeah, I would be okay with that if they did something like that. So I'm just not hopeful for any new games coming out.
Yeah. What about you, JD? I know you you got into skateboarding in real life. You ever get into the Tony Hawk games at all?
Oh yeah, I love those games, man. Those are the first 3 in particular. Oh, so awesome. Amazing licensed music. I loved making my own like custom parks that I wish I could make in real life, but yeah, I mean, to me, there's something so funny and creepy about Tony Hawk no longer working with Activision, but they still own license. Like, license equals his name. Like, I don't know, it's just crazy to me, man. Like, imagine that conversation, like, oh yeah, Tony, so we're not going to renew your contract to work with us, but we still own your name. It's just like, that's so beat.
Yeah.
Man, that sucks. I kind of feel bad for him, but...
I mean, he's so rich. I mean, he probably doesn't care, but it's just, there's something like creepy about that.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Cool. All right, so moving on. There is a new studio. It's called Question that was formed by former BioShock and Dishonored devs. But they announced their new game. It's called the Blackout Club. And I don't know if you guys got a chance to take a look at this announcement trailer for this game. This looks really cool. This is like a co-op paranormal like adventure game. Hang on, let me scroll back up. Sorry. Scroll down. It's a paranormal horror mystery game. So you and a couple friends basically are going to be going out on these nightly patrols. You kind of sneak out of the house at night. So you're going and investigating, different things around the neighborhood and stuff like that. So I don't know. JD, did you get a chance to check this trailer out? What do you think of this one?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't expecting this. First of all, I was expecting it to be, when you see BioShock and Dishonored, you think like Deus Ex or System Shock, right? But no, I wasn't expecting to see what I saw. But hey, this sounds cool to me. I'm all for it. Yeah.
What about you, Bender? Does it sound like something you want to fire up?
Possibly. It depends on how much they lean into the horror aspect of it. If it's too spooky, I might not be interested. But I have heard descriptions of the premise. It does sound very interesting. Like these kids are, like they're blacking out and they don't know why, and they're trying to find out. And like apparently the adults are the villains, and so they go to investigate to find out what they're up to. Sounded to me like a mixture of like a Runaways comic story with like a Scooby-Doo or something. So where they're like, the adults are up to something sinister and they're trying to just solve the mystery. So that's kind of the vibe I got from it. But it sounds like an interesting premise, but I'll have to learn more about it, see if it's something I would actually want to play.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, this sounds interesting to me. I love any kind of like supernatural kind of thing, so I'd be curious to see how that's going to play out. That'll be coming out in Q1 of 2019, so we'll be definitely keeping that one on our radars. Up next, another game announcement. This one is from, I think that the publisher is Funcom, but it's being developed by the Bearded Ladies, which again is like a team made up of ex-Hitman and Payday developers. But it's called Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden. So this one, the trailer for this one's really goofy. It's bizarre. There's a boar, like I think she's a robotic lady, and a duck. just kind of wandering around this, obviously post-apocalyptic world. There's, different machines and stuff. But the game itself, the way they're describing it is going to kind of play out like a tactical turn-based game in the vein of something like XCOM, along with some real-time exploration and stealth gameplay. But Bender, I know you checked this trailer out. What do you think of this one? Does it seem like something that might be interesting?
It's definitely an unusual looking game based on the trailer. I think you and I both agree that it kind of gives off like a Beyond Good and Evil vibe, sort of, with these anthropomorphic animals and stuff. I mean, if it's like kind of has some RTS elements, that's kind of strange. I mean, it doesn't really indicate that in the trailer at all, but I guess we'll have to see some gameplay footage to see what the game is really going to be like, but it's definitely intriguing based on the trailer. It looks kind of weird and interesting.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was like the whole, we're kind of modeling after XCOM that hooked me on it. I love playing XCOM, so like that type of strategy game I really enjoy. JD, I know you're a big strategy game fan. Did you get a chance to check out the trailer for this? Does it sound like something that it would interest you at all?
Yeah, definitely interests me. As much as the developer's studio name does, so I'm definitely down with that. But no, seriously, it looks weird and interesting. I like that. I like me some weirdness. Speaking of that, I gotta finish that weird Akiba strip game to this day. Speaking of weirdness, be like every time we talk about a weird game, I think about that one and how I have to finish it.
That's fair. That is a very strange game, so...
Yeah, I love my weirdness fix every once in a while.
I hear ya. Cool. Well, again, we'll be keeping our eye on this one. This game is slated to come out this year for PC, Xbox One, and PS4. Like I said, it's definitely on my radar now, so I'm going to be following that one very closely. Up next, Injustice 2 is getting a Legendary Edition on March 27th. That's later this month. I was actually kind of surprised to see this because I figured with them putting out that Ultimate Edition right out of the gate that kind of bundled in the Season Pass that maybe they were going to do away with this re-release, but here we are. So the Legendary Edition of the game will bundle all the downloadable playable characters. That's everyone you got in the Season Pass for the game. So Darkseid, Red Hood, Starfire, Sub-Zero, Black Manta, Raiden, Hellboy, Atom, Enchantress, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Also bundle all of the premier skins available from the Injustice 2 Ultimate Edition. So it's Power Girl, Jon Stewart, Green Lantern, Reverse Flash, Grid, and Black Lightning. Each, of course, with the unique looks, voices, and dialogue. Along with that, there's going to be some enhancements available to the game as well that it will include an introduction of the Learn Hub, the game's expanded tutorial. New gear items available for all characters have been added. The character level cap is increased to 30, and new augmentation slot is available at level 30 as well. So I think that's great. I know, I'm probably going to run out and pick this up because I love having, the everything on a disc. I'm kind of like obsessive about that a little bit. But, Bender, did you ever fire up Injustice 2?
I never did. No, it's a game that I was interested in, but I don't play fighting games all that much, and even ones that I enjoy, I'll play them a little bit, but then I don't continue playing them. So, but I mean, if they come out with this edition that has like everything, it's something I might be more interested in picking it up.
Gotcha. But JD, what do you think, man? I know you're a fellow physical game collector. Complete edition of Injustice 2 on a disc. Is that something you want to pick up?
Yes, I have a lot of fighting games to catch up on. I still have to get Tekken. I didn't pick up Fighters yet, which I really, really want. It just the whole money's a little tight. Not tight, like I could do it, but I'm just trying to be responsible and spend carefully, at least for the first few months of this new financial endeavor I'm taking. So, but yes, of course, man. I'm a addict for good, beautiful shelf of physical games. So it's on my list. It might be far down, but it's on it.
Gotcha. Cool. So again, look for that one on March 27th. Up next, the ESRB is going to start putting a label on games that contain microtransactions. The label, according to the ESRB, would be featured on any game that offered the ability to purchase digital goods or currency with real-world money. So that, of course, includes things like bonus levels, skins, loot boxes, music, virtual coins, anything that you can purchase, with in-game currency, season passes, all that stuff. So, I don't know, just really quick, guys, like, what do you think about this? Do you think, like, just putting, like, a general label on there is going to be enough to, I don't want to say combat any kind of problem with this, but I mean, you know what I mean? Like, just having a generalized label, like, you're not going to know, like, the extent of these microtransactions, and this is such a broad, umbrella that it's of things it's covering, even having things in here for things in season passes and stuff, I don't know, like, JD, what do you think, man? Do you think this is even a necessary step?
I think it's totally irrelevant. I think it's one of those things where if people really cared about this issue, they would come to one of two conclusions: is if it's really if the evil of this addiction of microtransactions or spending money or gambling or whatever you want to call it is on the developers and publishers, then they should just get rid of it, or people should just accept responsibility. Like, I personally have struggled with addiction when I was a teenager, and ultimately I had to deal with it myself. There are outside influences, but parents shouldn't be letting their kids have access to credit cards and spending money. It's unhealthy for the kid. It's unhealthy for their bank account. It's just not good. It's their responsibility. Adults, if they choose to spend money like that unwisely, I mean, when are we going to ever be allowed to grow up, or do we always need somebody to tell us don't spend money? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, eventually we have to come to conclusion, either get rid of it or people need to grow up, So I don't think it's going to do anything, is what I'm saying.
Bender, what do you think? Do you think this is a necessary step, or do you think this is just something like a Band-Aid on a wound that just isn't going to stop bleeding?
A little of both. I think it's fine that they're putting a label on there, because some parents are just not well informed, or it's going to be something that's going to, if not tell them exactly the specific nature of the spending that might be involved. It's going to give parents, this is some of the game that you might want to look into. It is possible for your child to spend real money on this game. Now, but like you said, though, this is way too broad of a scope of things that they're covering under this one label. When you think about, not just loot boxes, but like any microtransactions, any season passes, any, cosmetic stuff, anything at all that you can spend money on, that label is going to be on pretty much every game that comes out.
Yep.
Because every game these days has some sort of, extra potential for spending extra money. So I think that if they're going to put a label, they need to be a little bit more specific and a little bit more granular with the way that they label these things. Like they, specifically say this, season pass purchases or like the season passes aren't a big deal. Cosmetic things aren't a big deal. The big deal is the loot boxes, things that you're paying money for when you're not guaranteed to get what you're trying to pay for. It's the roll of a dice type of thing that you're spending money and you might get something that you don't want. So those are the real problem. So I mean, yeah, like I said, they're just being too broad and too general with this label. So I mean, it's good that they're doing it, but they're just not doing it in the right way, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And my other problem with this too is because of how broad that thing is. Like, if you're an adult who's uninformed about what game you're buying your kid, you have that label on there. You're, as a parent, you're going to look at a game and maybe assume, say it's something that just has a season pass, something that's not, you don't have to buy it. No one's going to force you to. Is it, necessary? No. Sometimes it doesn't really even expand on the story. Some season passes aren't really worth it, but you're going to see that label on that box and you're going to assume, oh, well, this has other stuff you can buy. Do you really need this game? It's not even a full game, like stuff like that. Like I worry that, kind of putting something like this on there is going to cause more problems for like more uninformed consumers. The parents going out, shopping for their friend, their son's friend or something. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like I said, it's too broad, and that kind of sucks. So I don't know. But up next, CD Projekt Red has kind of started talking a little bit more about Cyberpunk 2077. I think this is actually at DICE recently. Quote, Cyberpunk is our new Witcher 3, but even more ambitious. Our goal is to establish a new blockbuster franchise from the beginning. That was from CD Projekt Red CEO Adam Kaczynski. So, I know, JD, you're a big CD Projekt Red fan. I think The Witcher 3 is very ambitious, especially for a massive console game like that. Do you worry that there's a chance that maybe CD Projekt Red could ever maybe get in over their heads with their lofty, goals for the games? And I think it's interesting, kind of like, even coming back to a game like this, having just talked, about how Remedy feels about, these massive, blockbuster single player games, and you have, developers out there like CD Projekt Red who just want to constantly, shoot for the stars. Like, do you worry that maybe they might get in over their heads with this one?
Not with them specifically, just because I never played the original Witcher, but each Witcher game has gotten better, and even up to their DLC that they did with The Witcher 3, like, it just kept getting better. I think that they're uniquely equipped as far as talent goes to handle that kind of thing, and at this point, they've given me no reason to doubt them, and I never think ambition is a bad thing as long as you know the risks you're taking. So I love it.
Mm-hmm. You're not nervous about this massive. The Witcher 3 was already a very massive game. I think my playthrough clocked in around 75 hours. Wanting to go bigger. Do you think that that's a good idea?
Again, like with them specifically, no. I don't. That game was if Ocarina of Time didn't hold the like sentimental value it did to me, and if it didn't come out when it did, The Witcher 3 would be the best game I've ever played. I don't think there's a game that's even comes close to that, and I think anyone who hasn't played it through is doing themselves a serious disservice. Like the story, just everything that they did in that game. And the only downside I can see is like there's some bugs. It's a little buggy here and there. I think with them specifically that this isn't a problem.
I gotcha. And this is actually from the Pareto Securities Gaming Seminar. That's what this is from, not DICE. So, Bender, I know you haven't played The Witcher 3 yet, but what do you think about this? Is this something that you worry about with them? Maybe kind of jumping the gun a little bit, wanting to establish a new blockbuster franchise, this massive ambitious game, more ambitious than, The Witcher 3, which scared a lot of people off because of how ambitious it is. Like, is this something that you would be worried about with this game?
Play The Witcher,
Bender. I'm not really worried about it. I just wonder how when it's going to come out, and if it's that ambitious. I mean, it's going to take them a long time to finish it. I am kind of interested in Cyberpunk. I mean, because it's got more of a sci-fi aesthetic rather than the gothic or whatever that you would call The Witcher, medieval. I don't know. Which I don't. I like fantasy too, so I'm not saying that it's a bad theme or anything. But I don't know. I guess it is possible for a game to be too big. Some people don't want to spend hundreds and hundreds of hours in a game. But I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Gotcha. Yeah, cool. I'm excited about it. I can't wait to finally see what that game is. I just like you. I wonder when it's going to come out. Like, are we going to hit a point where it's going to be
2077
make it this generation?
It's coming out 2077.
Oh, yeah.
That's the meme with that, right?
So that's not even part of the game. The game is actually just called Cyberpunk.
It's coming out in 2077. Yeah, exactly. That's the meme of that.
Yeah.
Finally figured it out.
Play the DLC, Frankie.
I'll get there someday. I'll do it. I promise. One day. Cool. So let's hop into some Xbox stories real quick. First up, Armature probably not making a sequel to ReCore. The developer actually tweeted out recently some exciting projects happening at Armature, an original IP console project, no specifics on that, and an original IP VR project. And apparently they're also doing co-development on Fortnite, which I had no idea. So obviously I think a sequel to ReCore probably off the table. I know that was a kind of like a collaborative project with the Mighty Number 9 developers. Of course, I can't remember their name right now. But yeah, so I mean, I'm going to go ahead and assume none of us are surprised by no ReCore sequel. Bender, I know you picked up ReCore. I don't, are you upset that they're not going to be exploring that universe anymore?
Not really. I mean, they're going to make some new IPs, which sounds cool. I enjoyed what I played of ReCore, but I never went back to it just because everything that like Falsing was saying about it, and it kind of falls apart in the latter half of the game and all that stuff. So I never really went back and finished it. But what I did play, I liked the theme, I liked the story, I liked Jewel as a character. So I mean, if they ever do go back to it, that'd be okay with that. But it might be too soon for that since that game didn't do too well. If they do go back to it, maybe they'll want to give it some breathing room before they try it again. But I'll be looking forward to seeing what they do next, though, and seeing what these new IPs are going to be about.
Yeah, and I went back and played ReCore when they re-released that definitive edition last year. So they didn't really address a lot of the problems. They kind of took away. There was a requirement to keep climbing the tower. I think you need to go get more cores. They removed that, but it just the first half of that game, probably the half that you played, felt very put together. There was a story flow to it and everything. And like once you get to this tower, that whole thing kind of crumbles, and then the game just kind of shrugs and sends you back out in the world to collect more cores, and that's kind of it. So it sucks. I think that game had a ton of potential, and like Brent mentioned before, like this might be one of the most disappointing games in that aspect, just because the first half of that game was so damn good, and then you just hit this wall, and it doesn't recover, unfortunately. Now, JD, I know you enjoyed your time with ReCore. Are you bummed that they're probably not working on a sequel?
No. I enjoyed it. Like it was good, I would say, lowercase g. But yeah, no, same thing. I never finished it. Similar thing. It got to a point where I couldn't get to the next area, and I didn't know where to go find more of the prisms or whatever they were. So like it was flawed. I don't think it was like total garbage like some people thought, but yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised, and I'm not really too upset about it not getting a sequel either.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally okay with them making new IP. I think they're a very talented team, so whatever they do next, I think will be really cool. Cool. So up next, we got the announcement for the games that will be added to Game Pass this month. So in March, gamers can look forward to Oxenfree, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Resident Evil Revelations 2, The Final Station, Super Lucky's Tale, Eurofishing, Sonic CD, and of course, on March 20th, Sea of Thieves. So a lot of really great additions. I'm really happy to see Super Lucky's Tale in there. Bender, anything in there stick out to you outside of Sea of Thieves?
Yeah, it's a good lineup. Rise of the Tomb Raider. I did play a little bit of that, it was really cool from what I played. I'm glad Super Lucky's Tale is being added to it, because that's a game that I had an interest in, but I didn't want to pay full price for it. So if I can jump in there with Game Pass and check out that game, I would enjoy that. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
What you, JD? Anything in here appeal to you?
Yeah, Eurofishing.
I knew you were going to say that.
No, I mean, there's a couple cool ones in there. Sea of Thieves, obviously. That's interesting. That's that first big game to be on Game Pass, which I know we don't have the time tonight, but I never properly expressed my feelings about that. I got to make a video about that one day. But yeah, I played Rise of the Tomb Raider, which was awesome. So yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good list, though.
Yeah, I was actually surprised to see Super Lucky's Tale in there. That game just came out in, December, I think, so still awesome, though. I'm looking forward to Sea of Thieves going in there. It's a lot of cool stuff to pick up with it, so. Speaking of Sea of Thieves, there will be an Xbox One S 1 terabyte bundle coming later this month for $299.99. That, of course, will bundle a digital copy of Sea of Thieves along with a month of Xbox Live and a month of Game Pass. So it's kind of awkward getting Sea of Thieves and then having access to Sea of Thieves and Games Pass. But, if you're in the market for an Xbox One S, look for that one March 20th. Up next, 343 Industries has been asking fans about features that they'd like to see added in the Master Chief Collection. JD, I want to hone in on you on this. I know you're a massive Halo fanboy.
Oh, yeah.
And, you stream a lot of Halo on your YouTube channel. You're a big fan of the series. Is there anything that you would want to see them add to these games that isn't already available in there?
Yeah, like the Master Chief Collection is amazing because you have all of the Halo campaigns with the exception of Reach. You can even get ODST if you want. So for that, it's amazing. You get the anniversary editions too, so that's awesome. But the multiplayer is just like, instead of having the original full multiplayer or something close to it, there's it was really limited. So if they can A, get those up to snuff, and B, add some new modes that are fan inspired, that would be sweet. I don't particularly have anything I'm looking forward to or would ask them to do, but just give me Halo 3's multiplayer. Give me the original multiplayer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's something I've heard a lot of people mention too. But I'll be curious to see how this pans out. Obviously, in the past we've seen a lot of people want things in games, get them, and decide that's not something they really wanted. So
they should just add Halo 5 to it too, and rebrand it, resell it or whatever, and have it be the actual Master Chief Collection, and maybe throw a beta in for Halo 6 when they're ready.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool to roll that back out.
Yeah.
And it'll have X support, so
yeah,
why not? Cool. So awesome. And then just really quickly, a couple Nintendo things to discuss. The first being something that, of course, the three of us are extremely excited about. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild finally getting a soundtrack on April 25th. You can actually order it over on Play Asia, and I think it's also now available on Amazon Japan, which they will ship to the U.S. as far as I know. So I think it's $50, 5-disc soundtrack of Breath of the Wild music. JD, man, I know you're a big, you collect a lot of Zelda memorabilia. I got to imagine this is something you're going to be picking up.
Yeah. I'm I can't believe I missed it to begin with. I should order it right now before I forget again and just deal with it. I'll come up with the money some other way. But that's amazing. Yeah. That's really, really sweet. And I mean, 5 discs, that's got to be everything, right? Like DLC and everything, right? That's got to be all the music.
I don't know. Maybe. I feel like there's a lot of music in that game.
Well, how many songs are on the discs, right? I mean, I don't know. It's still a lot, and I look forward to it.
I think there is a track list. It's in Japanese, but I can't listen to it. So, but Bender, I know you're a fellow video game music lover, big fan of Zelda. Is this something that you're going to want to import?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've been waiting for this. Ever since we got the sampler soundtrack with the special edition of the game, I was like, oh man, these are good songs, but I want all of them. What about this song? What about this song? So I mean, there's so many great tracks in that game, and I mean, we've talked about them a lot, in the Playing by the Hyrule series, and we're talking about them on JD's show. There's tons of great music in Breath of the Wild, so I'm definitely going to be picking up this soundtrack. It sounds like it'll be awesome.
Are they not going to release it in the West, or is it just not?
Probably not.
Come on, are they crazy?
They usually don't. I don't think.
Yeah, but it's Zelda.
Their soundtracks have sold.
It's Zelda.
I know, but I don't think they sell well over here. But I mean, we're able to buy it, so I don't care.
Yeah, or put a digital version out or something. Come on.
That would be more ideal. I know they're also doing a Xenoblade 2 soundtrack, Bender. I don't know if I sent you that link or not, but yeah, but that's another one it's insanely expensive, and I think they're selling it on like a USB flash drive. Huh. So you get that, and I think you can either have it in lossless, you can get it in MP3, and then if you buy that version, I think there's 17 bonus tracks. But then they're also doing a physical CD release that has like 105 tracks or something. But I'm just glad that one's coming out too, because there's another one that we got a sampler for. Like, man, this is good music. I want the whole thing. But
yeah.
Sorry, bro. I only listen to music on vinyl.
Dweeb. So before we go, we are recording this episode technically on March 3rd. The Nintendo Switch has now been out for an entire year.
Oh, yeah.
I know it's a console that the three of us have all very much enjoyed. Obviously, Zelda is an incredible game. We did an entire, spoiler cast series on the game. But outside of Zelda, I want to talk to you guys. What kind of stuff on the Switch, have you guys enjoyed besides Zelda and just the system in general? Bender, where were you, man? A year later with the Switch, you happy with your purchase?
Yes, definitely. I love the Switch. I think it's a fantastic system. I love having big games like Zelda, like Mario Odyssey, as well as small indie games like Celeste and Owlboy and stuff like that I can just take wherever I go and play it when I'm on a trip or when I'm taking a break at work or whatever I want to do. I think it's awesome. When the NX was first announced and Iwata said that it was a system that would change your gaming. Yeah, remember that?
Wow, NX, I forgot about that.
Yeah, when they first started talking about it, Iwata said that it was a system that would change your gaming lifestyle. And back then I remember thinking, that's such an exaggeration. What are they talking about? It's so dumb. But like now I can say, the Switch has changed my gaming lifestyle. I've got all these awesome games that I can take wherever I go or take them home and play them on the TV. So yeah, I really love it. It's awesome. In addition to Zelda, we've got some great games that have come out on there. I already mentioned Celeste, which is already one of my favorite games this year. I've played through that at this point. I beat it. We had Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle that Ubisoft came out with, which is a really cool strategy game. One of the best Mario games in quite a while, with Mario Odyssey. What else? The Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which I'm still playing. I've kind of fallen off of it since Monster Hunter came out, but I still want to get back and finish that game. But I really enjoy that one. Just tons and tons of awesome games and stuff. I can't wait to see what they do with the online system. Hopefully it'll be something cool. But so far this year, for the first year, I think the Switch has been awesome, and I really can't complain.
How about you, JD? I know you're a big Nintendo fan, big fan of the Switch. First year with it.
It's awesome. Obviously Zelda, we've gone over that in detail, but just getting to it gives me an excuse to try out more indie games, and I like that. And for whatever reason, I'm more attracted to those games on the ultimate handheld device you could play a game on, basically. And it sold me on handhelds in general too. Like I had said earlier, the last time I had purchased a handheld, well, I didn't even purchase it, I was a kid, was when I got a Game Boy Advanced, and I just hadn't, for no particular reason, just never got one until, the Switch is a hybrid or whatever, but it showed me, like Bender was saying, a different way to enjoy gaming. For example, yesterday, when I was without power all day, I can only shovel so much snow until I went and got bored of that, so having the Switch, I busted it out. I played some of that Slain, and I actually fired up Zelda again, which I haven't done in a while, and just explored and stuff, and it made the day go by a little bit better, which it's awesome. So I'm loving it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. That's kind of become my preferred platform for indies. I am kind of getting back into getting some on PS4 because the trophy thirst is back, but playing things like The Mummy Demastered. I know Shantae's available on there. I have a ton of indie games on there. I know I still haven't even touched. Like I picked up Rogue Trooper Redux on there. Like Bender mentioned, Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I still haven't even gotten a chance to fire that up, and that's one I really want to play. But yeah, like you guys, I've loved every moment of that system, and I've actually it's funny because we've talked before about gimmicks and things like touch controls and stuff, but like having the option to play something like Severed, a game that I've always wanted to play, but when it came out, I no longer had a Vita, and just playing on my phone just doesn't feel ideal. So being able to finally play through Severed was awesome. Getting Thimbleweed Park on there, a point-and-click adventure game that you can actually touch and use like the touchscreen interface to play a point-and-click game in 2017, 2018. Whenever you're playing it is awesome. So I feel like that's kind of like the definitive way to experience like Thimbleweed Park, as you know, as an example. But no, I think it's done great. It's been really cool seeing a lot of all these indie titles come out on there and find a lot of success they weren't able to find on, you know, the other platforms. You know, we had games like Wolverblade, you know, debut on the Switch that were really awesome, kind of paved the way for them to hopefully find some success elsewhere. But, you know, even looking ahead, you know, like Saturday Morning RPG is going to be coming out on there. And I know, you know, Mighty Rabbit was kind of talking, you know, they're hoping that, you know, the game will find a crowd over there, do very well, and, you know, kind of, you know, give them the chance to make, I think, Super Saturday Morning RPG they were talking about doing. So,
Ooh.
yeah, so if the Switch is able to kind of cultivate that, you know, and, you know, find some more success for some of these developers who maybe didn't have as much luck, you know, on the PS4 or Xbox One, I think that's great. You know, I think that's been a huge surprise to a lot of people. So it's great seeing people embrace the Switch and a lot of the indies that it's kind of brought to the forefront as well. So looking forward to seeing, you know, like Bender said, with the online coming out, you know, what they're going to do, you know, with that, and you know, hopefully, you know, we get like some kind of virtual console in the foreseeable future. But yeah, I'm very happy with it. I'm, you know, glad that, you know, I didn't cancel that pre-order because I, you know, was worried, you know, just buying it for Zelda, you know, because it's a system I'm even gonna like. But I love my Switch. It's wonderful. So looking forward to finally getting back to Xenoblade as well, Bender, one of these days.
Yeah,
I still got to get that.
Awesome. Well, guys, that is going to do it for this week's show. Went a little longer than I was anticipating, unfortunately, but, you know, whatever. So where can we find you guys gaming and tweeting, Bender?
I'm on Twitter at Bender_guitar. I'm on PlayStation Network and Nintendo Network at me_Bender. And you can find me on Xbox Live at meBender82.
JD?
You can find me on Twitter at Play and Listen, and you can find me gaming on Xbox, Nintendo, and PlayStation at Dayloon1989.
Why don't you go ahead and plug the Play and Listen podcast real quick? You do the show, you got the YouTube channel, all that fun stuff?
Sure, thanks. First of all, thanks for having me on, guys. This was fun.
Totally.
It's been a while since
Yeah.
we got together and caused some mischief, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And thanks to our friends Brent and Ben for allowing me on. I'm sure Brent's just like nervous, shaking in his boots. JD, don't say anything crazy, please. And
JD hijacked the show.
yeah, I stole the show. But no, for real, thanks. Love you guys, of course. Yeah, you can listen to the podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud by searching for the Play and Listen Gaming Podcast. And on our YouTube channel, I'm starting to upload episodes again. So that'll be another place you can listen to the podcast. It'll just be, I don't do video, so it'll just be the logo. But hey, some people like to listen on YouTube, so why not offer it? And that's youtube.com/playandlisten. And you can also check out our streams whenever we live stream, usually Monday and Friday around 7:30 or 8. This week, probably not because of the crazy situation, but hey, otherwise, come on over. It's, like I said, youtube.com/playandlisten, twitch.tv/playandlisten, and mixer.com/Dayloon1989.
Awesome. It's always a pleasure to have you on. I'm a big fan of your show, big fan of you, so it's always cool getting to sit down and chat with you. So thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy. The feeling's mutual.
Awesome. Yeah. So as far as we go, you of course can find us www.shortpause.com. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at The Short Pause. We're on Facebook as well. We do the Tuesday Night Indie Spotlight. That'll be Tuesday at 10 p.m. I'm pretty sure he's looking at Fear Effect, but not totally sure yet. So tune in 10 p.m. Eastern over on our YouTube channel. That's Short Pause Gaming. We're also on Twitch, also I believe it's Short Pause Gaming, and Mixer as well. Make sure you're subscribed to this podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, and Stitcher. And if you enjoy the show, please consider leaving us a positive review over on iTunes, preferably 5 stars. But if you feel we deserve 3 or 4, we deserve 3 or 4. But instead of leaving a review, consider coming over to the website. Leave a comment in the comments section, things that you would like to see improved, or anything at all. And again, any feedback is appreciated. So any conversations you want to talk about, or us to talk about, it doesn't even have to be gaming related. Just anything you want to get off your chest or anything at all, you can either, like I said, throw out a comment or shoot us an email, podcast@shortpause.com. We do enjoy interacting with you guys. Like I said, it doesn't have to be gaming related at all. You want to ask us about our favorite movies, favorite food, any of that kind of stuff. Share some kind of goofy story or anything, talk to us. That's what we're here for. Again, make sure you guys are following Brent and Ben as well on Twitter. Ben, of course, is Piccolo930 everywhere. That's PlayStation, Twitter, Xbox, Switch, everything. Yeah, make sure you're following Brent as well. He's on Twitter at TheDude1979, PlayStation Network, TheDude79, and Xbox Live, The Real Dude79. Again, I'm pretty sure everyone will be back next week. This episode wasn't necessarily planned, but, thank you for tuning in, and we will talk to you guys next week. See ya!
So long.
Bye-bye. Go ahead and start us off whenever you're ready, JD.
All right.
Make sure you say it as dumb as possible, like Brent does.
Bender, you got to put that at the end. All right. Hello, gamers. You're listening to the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. This is episode number 153.
Can we get a little bit more energy? Just like a little bit?
Come on. Channel.
That was pretty energetic.
Hello, gamer. There you go. Perfect.
No, you don't have to do a stupid voice. Just a little bit more energy.
Dude, that was like all the energy I had. Hello, gamers. You're listening to the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. This is episode number 153.
That was better.
I like that one.
I don't know. I think
All
they're.
the energy you had. Like,
I think
that's
they're.
what you get for being a smoker. You're like, hello, gamers.
No, not that kind of energy, man. I can breathe. I'll outrun both of your asses, so get out of here.
I'm fat, so yeah, you're right.
Fat.